The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Valley, hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic with just a good-looking pan. And any barmaid can be a star maid if she dances with or without a fan. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good. Where anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast, Damn You Hollywood. And here's your host, Robert Winfree. Yay!
Hey.
Yay!
Hey.
I can't get the Instagram live thing to, last week I shut it down because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. Like, once it set it up to go live, it just goes live and you leave it alone. So I was like, no, if you do that, then it just cuts the broadcast. I'm like, terrific. So I just did it now, and now I can't get the damn thing to mute. So I had to go to them both things. I'm like, I can't do this. I'll figure this out later. We're eventually going to broadcast live on Instagram Live. Take it away, Robert.
That'll be fun.
Yes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to It. This is It for the year of our Lord 2023. The last Damn You Hollywood of the year. And boy, are we going out with a whimper.
T.S. Eliot was right.
Frequently. So, the voices you're hearing, if you're just listening on the audio-only portion of this, you have myself, Mark Radulich, introducing me, and Alexis Hejna is back with us. Alexis, hi.
Always happy to be here. Even if I have to be dragged talking about a movie that you could sum up in the first 5 minutes of the film everything that was wrong with it.
You were not dragged. You volunteered. Stop gaslighting people.
Yeah, look, no, it's just fun to blame you.
I'm just saying, starting this movie with the Warner Brothers logo underwater and decaying was a prophetic choice.
So, Robert.
Yes.
Robert, my love. May I just talk to you for a moment? Just me and you.
I can't stop you, so go ahead.
I just want to talk to you for a minute. Just me and you. Nobody privately. Nobody can hear this. Okay.
Yes, notably.
Oh my God.
There is no better way to keep something private than to scream it into the void of the internet.
Thank you. I'm glad you got the joke. Jeez, I gotta fucking, this one going into business for herself. So, you watch sports, right? Besides, do you just watch combat sports, or do you watch other stuff too?
I occasionally watch other stuff when my family is interested, but personally, mostly it's combat sports. I don't. I used to be big into basketball. I used to be.
Okay.
I've never been big into football. I used to use it to fall asleep to on Sundays because it's the perfect amount of white noise. It's the most consistent rhythm, so it was great for that.
It's never. Outside of boxing and MMA, it's never been appointment viewing for me. I've never gone to. I'm getting up to watch the game. This is a game I'm paying attention to. If it's a holiday and it's on, I'll watch. If there's a social event that's sort of revolving around it, come over and watch the game. That sort of thing. Hanging out with friends and the game is on. I'm not actively against it. I've just never had really a rooting interest in a lot of different sports, nor was it appointment viewing. That all changed this past weekend, Robert.
Oh, did it?
So I'm watching Day of Reckoning, and there's
just a mistake, straight up mistake.
For those that don't know, it was a boxing pay-per-view, and they're doing commercials for DraftKings, and every time they do one of these, there's always if you do DraftKings now, we'll give you $100, to try, because they got the first taste is always free, right?
Usually.
And so I'm like, all right, I want to try this. I know who's going to win these fights. It's going to be Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, duh. Hang on. So, like, I really want to give this a shot because it seems like easy money. And DraftKings is not legal in Florida, but you know what is? The Hard Rock Seminole, the Seminole app, which is apparently fairly new now. It's only been out like a little ways. And sorry. So I downloaded the app, did my deposit, and I got $50 in house money to play with. So I had $150 to spend on Day of Reckoning. And I put 50 on Anthony Joshua. I put 50 on Deontay Wilder. We know how that went if you watch boxing. Deontay lost, AJ won. So I still had a little bit of money to play with. And I just went plumb crazy this weekend. Like that first little taste of sports gambling. And I'm like, what else can I bet on? And get that dopamine, that dopamine rush of a successful gamble.
The answer is anything. You can bet on anything.
Let me tell you, because I was thinking about this, and the whole reason why I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about telling you specifically, was you're a man that you don't like Vice. You wish people would be better than that, and my behavior frequently annoys you because because I go running headlong into the ocean of Vice, hands in the air. Yes, with Sandra D right next to me because those summer nights. You know what I mean?
I don't know who that is, but okay.
It's a Grease reference. If Alexis was listening, she'd have gotten it.
Yeah, I got it.
So
I'm just also looking for supplies for my new bracelets, guys. I gotta keep my mind occupied with something while you're talking sports.
Perfect. So I bet on the Dolphins, I bet on the Packers, and I was on quite the win streak there, and I was feeling myself. And then proceeded to bet all favorites on between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And let me tell you what a nightmare that was. The Broncos lost, the Chiefs fucking lost, and then I chickened out. And me and a buddy it's one thing to get yourself addicted to a new vice. It's a whole other thing when you can bring someone with you when you have a swim buddy. A guy I was hanging out with this weekend over the holiday, he got talked into doing the app too. Oh, how much fun. I've never had so much fun watching sports ever. That would include boxing and MMA. Like, we were like hooting and hollering and carrying on because finally we had a financial rooting interest in this Eagles cut. And what a one to change your bet on. The Eagles Giants game. And we had a blast losing all kinds of money on the Giants. But it turned it around because a girl convinced me. It always starts with a girl. A girl convinced me to bet the Ravens. Yes, to bet the Ravens instead of the 49ers. And wouldn't you know it, I made back all my money. So that was happy.
Yeah, that was a pretty big upset.
Yeah. So
then you collected a small interest payment on the Inouye fight.
Yes, I got $2 to buy a soda with. And now, my friends, for the first time in possibly Mark Radulich history, for all the people that have ever said, hey, come and watch the game with me, and I've sort of rolled my eyes and said, I'd rather not. I currently have the Kansas UNLV game on because now I have money on this game because the app said this is a large payout if you actually do it. And it happens. I am watching college football while we do this podcast. So if you and your girlfriend down there go off on one of your merry tangents, I'm going to, and I start looking glazed over, know that I'm watching my football game.
So your sporadic cursing and angry tantrums now actually have an explanation.
Yeah, if you see me throw my earphones, now you know why. All right. All of that to say, yes, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is
and the Lost Prophet.
and the Lost My Attention Span.
And Lost My Lunch.
Is an American superhero film based on the DC character Aquaman, which let me just stop there. There was a conversation that took place over the holiday regarding Aquaman, and my father asked me, he said, son, he calls me son. He said, son.
That's the first time you've said that in that way, and I believe you.
Has Aquaman always been an idiot? And I said, no, Papa. He has not always been an idiot. I don't know what possessed the people at DC and those in the wake of Zack Snyder, because he wasn't this bad in Justice League.
He wasn't this bad in the first Aquaman.
No, he kind of
I have
Homer Simpson syndrome and got dumber as these films went on.
No, I have a legitimate theory.
I'm sure you did, but I really wanted to get that line out there before you got into your thing that I would have given you time for. So take two. He caught Homer Simpson's disease, where he progressively gets dumber as these films go on.
Well,
Why do you think that is, Robert?
Well, I have my joke answer and my serious answer.
I'll take either. I'll take
my
both.
My joke answer is he got married and had a kid.
Yeah, marriage makes morons of us all.
Well,
makes morons of some of us.
Some of us.
It's a gamble.
Bang bang. You can tell we don't want to do this fucking review tonight, by the way.
My serious answer is that Jason Momoa seems like he's fed up playing brooding, menacing characters.
The one character he played from Frontier in Game of Thrones.
And the first Conan, in that Conan the Barbarian remake.
If you actually get into his filmography, it's more in depth than that, especially television. He did a lot of television work.
Yeah.
Where, because he's a relatively large man, he's your combination of eye candy and brooding, menacing character.
Right.
This is very contrary to Jason Momoa's actual personality by all accounts.
Yeah, he's like crazy, fun-loving. He's a major activist.
I believe you described him as a Muppet.
Probably at least once.
I want to see Momoa with the Muppets.
Could you imagine a live-action Muppets and when Jason Momoa actually plays Animal?
No, look.
No.
Okay.
We need a new Muppet movie, and we have a moment where they say, okay, stunt, it's like stuntman for Animal, and Momoa comes out and puts on a crazy red wig, and Animal's just like, what? That's the scene we need.
I like it.
That tracks.
That's the one we do.
No, but he seems to be trying to infuse more of his genuine personality into his acting roles, whether it fits or not. And the result is, again, the lamest possible interpretation of the Joker and this cackling buffoon.
Yeah, so my son will sometimes punctuate one of his jokes or statements with this kind of sound. And I don't know why, but that's what Jason Momoa is now doing. He's just like a true king builds bridges. What? Do you have a tick? Like, do you have Tourette's? What's wrong with you?
I just want to say to Walter Hamada, the retired former head of DC, no one can blame you for trying to think outside the box with casting of Aquaman like this. I mean, obviously, Momoa does not really bear any kind of physical resemblance to the Aquaman character that we have seen in comics, cartoons, and the such. But to Mr. James Gunn, now that he is no longer playing the role, just do what we have all expected from the beginning and cast him as Lobo.
He's already confirmed that's what's going to happen. And frankly, I think it's a mistake.
What are you talking about? He is Lobo. Hell,
Yeah,
the scene with him in the beginning on the motorcycle.
Because sometimes people have different visions and opinions. Robert, what is your issue with Lobo, with him being Lobo?
Well, one, Lobo's not a very interesting character. Two,
Really?
Yes, really. Oh, look, foul-mouthed, cigar-smoking intergalactic bounty hunter. Why don't we just mash up everything from the 90s and throw it on screen at the same time in one character?
That was the point. Lobo was a parody of the craziness that we saw from creators like Rob Liefeld in the 90s. He was meant to be an over-the-top joke.
Which overpowered fan favorite comic book character came first, Deadpool or Lobo?
I have no idea.
I would need to look at that up.
I don't,
because I'll tell you, with DC and Marvel having this penchant for copying one another, I couldn't tell you which one came first, but both Deadpool and Lobo are are great examples of everything wrong with comic books and comic book fans, while also being like two of the most popular characters in all of comic books in the last 20 to 30 years.
Okay, first of all, Lobo came out in 1983.
Mm-hmm.
Deadpool, not the film, appeared in 1990.
There you go.
So
Go ahead,
Lobo
Robert.
came out first, and then Deadpool almost seems. Here's the problem with Lobo.
Mm-hmm.
The real problem. There's no parody anymore.
Yeah.
There might have been a time when he could have been a parody character, but that doesn't exist anymore. Like there's no satire anymore.
I think another way of
killed it.
saying this so that the audience catches on and then Alexis can participate in the conversation is over a long enough timeline, the joke stops being the joke and it becomes the norm.
Yeah.
They've now been doing the Lobo thing for so long, and because of the same thing with Deadpool. So Deadpool Lobo, same guy. Starts off as a parody, starts off as a sort of a satire of comics, and then becomes the norm because it's so popular. Now everyone's buying stuff with their names on it. So then the comic book creators and editors are going to do everything Lobo, everything Deadpool. So now that's all the comic books are, to the point where the whole point of those characters is utterly lost.
I think we're going to call that the South Park equation.
Okay, explain.
Sure.
South Park, not recently, but a couple of years ago, right around the time of the 2016 election, said that they had to stop writing, or they had to take a break, not because they were running out of ideas, but because reality had officially become crazier than anything they could come up with. They were joking about all the things that they had made fun of, all the things they said that could not happen, would not happen, were happening.
Yeah.
That's why I'm calling it the South Park equation.
Well, I was going to say an even better example.
Eventually, on the timeline,
mm-hmm.
the crazy becomes the norm.
The satire becomes serious.
The norm. Yeah.
But I think an even better one, and I'm going to say this, and Robert's going to fall over himself to explain in vascular detail why this is true. The Simpsons. The Simpsons has this crazy record. Yup. The Simpsons has this crazy record of predicting nonsense that they thought was a joke just based on some stuff they knew at the time. You're just trying to be funny. It was contemporaneous, humor. And it all turned out to be true, which if you're a Simpsons writer, you got to be going, I don't want to do this anymore because I don't want to come up with something and it actually becomes reality because we keep like the character from the forthcoming movie Argyle. Shit, we predicted the future.
There's a freaking channel on Disney Plus. If you go to the Simpsons and it has the Simpsons collections, like you got the horror collection, you got the Simpsons travel collection. There is literally a Simpsons predict the future collection.
Yep. It's there.
So back to Jason Momoa. You don't want to see him as Lobo. He didn't really work as Aquaman.
Hang on. I don't want to see Lobo. I don't care who's cast.
Okay, fair. Let me round this back so we actually have something airable for TikTok. I think Jason Momoa would have worked as Aquaman had they, because I don't really care how he looks. I don't buy into a lot of the race swapping, and I think if the actor and the character is working, then the rest of it I can forgive, and I think fair-minded people can too. I think it's only the most hardcore or the most racist.
You okay, Mark?
Yes, that cling to the that cling to keeping the characters the similar look as their comic book counterparts. However, again, in Justice League, he was very brooding, but the whole Zack Snyder movies were dark and brooding, and everything was The Dark Knight Returns, that tenor, and they kind of kept it with Aquaman. And Aquaman, look, I know you didn't like it, Robert. I liked it a lot. It reminded me a lot of Flash Garden, which you also didn't like.
No, let me just, because we have a little bit of play here.
Mm-hmm.
I did not personally enjoy the first Aquaman movie all that much, but there was a lot of good things to be said about it. One of them is that Aquaman, he's not he's not mopey.
Yeah.
Yeah, is he a little bit I hate to say depressed because that's not fully right, but it conveys the tone. Yeah, he's a little bit withdrawn, a little bit sullen, but he's not mopey. He's out there actively doing things, and he rises to the call of adventure when it comes his way. And the first Aquaman, the adventure movie is kind of a lost art in modern Hollywood. It's a darn good adventure movie.
Yeah.
I thought hero's journey.
I thought it was, visually stunning. I thought James Wan did a great job, bring in the horror guy to make the horrors of the deep blue ocean come alive. I think he did an excellent job with that. And everything you're saying about the hero's journey was good. What I liked about him was the kind of the thing that they were trying with Superman, which I think worked, but we did a series of podcasts, debating the merits of a Superman who does not feel right with this world, doesn't quite know how he fits in. Aquaman, very similar thing. He was a person of two worlds and felt comfortable in absolutely none of them. And he was trying to find his way. I like that idea. And had they stayed with it, I think this would have been successful. The problem is, by the time, never mind all the backstage stuff that happened with, the DCEU, which we've covered it. I don't want to do it again. We did a lot of this with The Flash already, and Blue Beetle, and Shazam. I don't want to do it a fourth time. We all know how the DCEU fell apart. That's why I didn't start off that way tonight. But even with all the backstage stuff, they went out of their way to make this as lighthearted and fancy-free and as general as humanly possible, and didn't write Aquaman. They wrote Jason Momoa goes on a fun adventure. I didn't get Aquaman. I got more his character from Fast X,
which is on
a fun adventure, than I did Aquaman. Go ahead, Robert.
I heard someone describe this as basically like $200 million spent on one of the worst episodes of Super Friends from the 70s.
I heard somebody said this was Thor Ragnarok through a filter.
Thor Ragnarok is a filter. That's all it is.
I would say
Yeah, see how bad it is? Aquaman actually calls Orm Loki.
Yep.
At one point. It's like, my God.
Implying in no small part that some variation of the MCU exists within the DCEU.
I'm going to say this.
I think that's why hang on. No joke. I think that's why he ends that press conference by saying, "I am Aquaman," because he's deliberately aping Robert Downey Jr. I am Iron Man.
Of course he was. And it was like more, it was obvious as the nose on my face.
No, but like in universe, he's doing it. That's not just Jason Momoa going, "Hey, can I do a Robert Downey Jr.?"
Right.
This is Arthur Curry, who saw the first Iron Man movie.
We needed an Omar moment where he's watching Oz. We needed a moment where a DC character is watching a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
That would have been great. Copyright and all that. But anyway, to end this bit and move on to the plot synopsis. You brought up Ragnarok, and Ragnarok had stakes to it. Ragnarok was a chapter in a bigger tale, and it felt. I know if you don't like the humor, you don't like the humor, and I don't want to, for the 50th time, debate the merits of the humor. What I'm saying is there was something to Ragnarok where there was pathos, there was ethos, there was depth, there was something to that movie, however badly it might have been handled. It's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is closer to Thor: Love and Thunder, which took everything that was good about Ragnarok and threw it in the fucking street. And we're like, can we just keep the shitty comedy? And voila, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which, as you may have heard, was produced by DC Studios, Atomic Monster, and the Safran Company, and distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures. It's a sequel to Aquaman 2018 and the 15th film and the final installment, God save us all, in the DC Extended Universe. It was directed by James Wan from a screenplay by David Leslie Johnson-McGoldrick, and stars Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry alongside Patrick Wilson. 5 seconds of Amber Heard. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II.
Hang on, we'll talk about Amber Heard when we get to the craft.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah,
Look like she
definitely.
was CGI'd in a couple places.
I would bet you money there's pieces of that are just AI. Like they bent over backwards editing this thing all to hell.
Alexis wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that again.
Randall Park, Dolph Lundgren, Temuera Morrison, Martin Short, which I did not realize until the end of the movie, and Nicole Kidman. In the film, Arthur must work with his half-brother Orm to prevent Black Manta from killing his family and using the cursed Black Trident to overheat the world, because message, while searching for the lost seventh kingdom of the seas. All right, Robert, take it away. It's like your brother. Take it away on what everyone loves, a very brief plot synopsis.
So, Aquaman recaps the first movie for us while playing with action figures for his son.
Oh, yeah, he has a son.
Got a son now, in case you missed that. We do meet, again, YAM2 as Black Manta, who is trying to get revenge. He's trying to fix his power suit, and while scouring for Atlantean technology, stumbles across the cursed item that is the Black Trident, and then, totally not Sauron for legal purposes, starts sending
good. I'm
messages.
so glad you met. Look, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I have a whole thing about how somebody desperately in this movie wanted to make Return of the King. Go ahead.
Starts sending him messages and tells him where he can find stuff. In this case, it's called orichalcum. And this is It's a MacGuffin. It's nothing. So, meanwhile, Aquaman is the king of Atlantis, and he hates it. He is stuck in bureaucratic nightmares. There's politics. There's administration. And he's like, I just want to swim around the ocean and do cool stuff. And you got me answering to this Congress. And then there's the court system. And why can't I just do what I want to do? The problem of every monarch after they started ceding power.
He also wants them to basically have Atlantis join the UN and make contact. And apparently there's still half of Atlantis still wants to wipe out the surface world.
Sure, why
it's
not?
Like, it's the same issues with like Wakanda. Because shit doesn't repeat itself in comic books.
So he wants to join the world, and someone on the council goes, no, the UN is a useless organization. And he goes, I know, but it's what they got, so why don't we use that?
Woo!
You couldn't resist, could you?
Never
I'm so
can.
glad he said it.
Someone has to. It's the truth.
Keep it going, babe.
But while this is going on, the world's heating up, Mark, because global warming, something.
Yep. No, just let her sigh and just keep going.
But no. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say, so you guys know I'm an environmentalist. I'm probably like the only environmentalist on this fucking network.
Honey, sweetie, lovely, baby, beautiful. We can talk all day long about man-made climate change and natural climate change, and I'm probably going to agree with you more than not. A, that's this movie handles it poorly. B,
that's
not
what I
what
was
we're here
about
to
to
do.
say. It's like, look,
Okay.
you guys know I'm a huge environmentalist, but even I was rolling my eyes.
Oh, good.
That's
Okay.
all I was trying to say. I am not about to start on a fucking debate with you
I was
two
like,
about climate change.
I was like, if she starts fucking lobbying about climate change, she's gonna find herself in the alley with Joe Chill. So.
So, this is coming to a head because now we're getting superstorms and the seas are being poisoned, and
They
Damon
killed off
Wayne.
Willem Dafoe.
Didn't he die in the first one, or is he died off screen between movies?
Off screen. It was a
Off screen.
scheduling conflict. Willem Dafoe couldn't make it.
That's fair.
Keep going. We're barely out of Act 1.
I know. And the long and the short of this is Manta is sneaking around in lost ancient Atlantean technology, and he's stealing this orichalcum that's been stored all over the place, and he's taking it to a volcano and he's burning it. Because Sauron has told him to.
Just keep going. Don't acknowledge it. Just keep going. But it was too good to leave in the ether.
Yeah. This stuff's like super coal. There is no way it's others say it is super coal.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And everyone's trying, and he's doing this under all of their noses. He's done a lot of it. He finally tries to steal one that's in Atlantis, basically. And this goes poorly. There's a big fight. Manta's a bit stronger now, and everyone realizes, oh, we might be in trouble. So what are we going to do? We got to find the Black Manta. And Aquaman goes, well, my estranged half-brother who hired him to kill me might know where he is. So how about we go see him? And they're like, we gave him to our political subordinates after he murdered their king, as in they're dealing with him, and this is going to get ugly. And he goes, well, okay, Atlantis won't do anything, but I will, as though you're not the figurehead of the government. So he goes.
That's not Thor. That's not Thor Ragnarok. That's oh god, what was the second Thor movie?
Dark World.
Yeah, no. Now we're going Thor Dark World.
So Aquaman and an octopus.
I know it's Open Popo. He's the best character in the movie.
They've learned from Disney you must have an animal sidekick.
What you have, okay, so Aquaman and the merchandising opportunity go into the Sahara Desert. Stealing that wholesale from Pitch Meeting, by the way. He didn't say it about this one yet, but he's said it before about other things, and I'm running with it. They break out Patrick Wilson, who is emaciated because they're not giving him a lot of water, and he's an Atlantean, so he needs water to be strong and buff. There's not a metaphor for steroids in there at all, I'm sure. They break him out, they beat up some weird-looking dudes, and they go, hey, we got to find Black Manta, and he goes, this guy's gone crazy. You see, he used to just be driven and a little bit ruthless, and now he's like, hey, I'll just kill the world. So that's weird. So they go find Jabba the Hutt. I mean, this giant fish, voiced by Martin Short.
I checked. This character was not in the comics. If
There's
he
a
was,
shock.
someone comment and correct me, but I'm like 90% certain the Fish King or Kingfish, whatever his name
Sure.
was not a character in the comics. He was an original for this movie.
Perfect. Keep going.
And the only thing we get out of that is some generic information about, hey, there's this point out there in the world, and if you go around it, bad things happen to you, and we'll just run with this. So Aquaman and his unit of electrical resistance brother, engineering joke, because he's Orm instead of Ohm.
Oh, for God's sake.
Hey, give me that one.
It's so funny. You do a joke, she has to react to a joke, and then we have to talk about said joke for 20 minutes. Or
I'm
hear me out on this.
So they head to this volcano, which is hiding the refinery where they are just burning all this orichalcum and releasing literal greenhouse gases into the atmosphere to just make everything worse. They show up there. There's a fight. Manta gets away. But in the process of all of this, Patrick Wilson touches the evil green trident, and he gets a flash of Sauron's eye. I mean, he gets in position. He gets exposition, which he then dumps on everyone else. Like, we need. So here's what happened. There used to be all the kings that were united under the banner of Atlantis.
There were 9 rings. Don't you understand?
Yeah. It was forged in secret, the Black Trident.
Yes.
There was a different kingdom, and it was like ruled by King Atlan's brother, and it had all the orichalcum. And Atlan was like, "Hey, stop doing that! Bad things are happening." And he was gone crazy with radiation poisoning or whatever our metaphor happens to be here. And there was a fight, and he turned all skeletal, and he turned all of his people into zombies, the underwater types. And he got all these mutated fish creatures. And they waged war, and King Atlan won, and he locked him away with blood magic. So we need the blood of the line of King Atlan. Everyone kind of goes, well, that leaves Nicole Kidman, Patrick Wilson, and Jason Momoa, right? And Jason Momoa looked at his wife, and they go, no, we have a son, and he's at home with his grandfather, and oh boy. So Manta shows up, and he stabs Boba Fett through the stomach and says, I'm going to leave you alive. So you can tell Aquaman it was me that did this, as though that's not self-evident. And he takes the little kid, and he goes towards the place where this place is locked up, which is in Antarctica, because it's always in Antarctica.
Hey, they're going to wave hi to Cthulhu on their way out there.
The Shoguns live in Antarctica. This is not hard to get right, people. So this is why we had to warm up the planet, because we needed to melt enough of the ice around the entrance to get into there physically. So they go there, the Atlantean army attacks, and Dolph Lundgren shows up, and it's a big thing. And you got Gimli going as, bring them to me, as long as there's one dwarf yet in Moria. I mean, one shrimp monster in Atlantis who still draws breath. I mean, water. I will hold the line.
In fairness, he voiced that character in the first movie.
I know he did. I'm not complaining. I'm just drawing a parallel.
Sorry, no one complains about the voice of John Rhys Davies. His voice is iconic.
That's not what he was complaining about. It was there's so many fucking parallels to Lord of the Rings here.
So we charge across the bridge of Khazad-dûm. I wish I was joking. Towards a city clearly inspired by Minas Tirith after Black Manta apes the Aragorn hero's entrance at Helm's Deep.
How many more of these jokes do you have?
I hope a ton.
As many as this stupid movie was going to give me.
Alexis, I'm putting something up on screen. Just blink at it and don't acknowledge it. Keep going, Robert. More Lord of the Rings references.
So, Manta goes, I must kill this child on the altar, and the spilling of his blood will free. But what's his face from WandaVision shows up, and he's like, I can't let you kill kids. Their standards and practices. And look at this magic trick. And Manta goes, you're a giant waste of time, and everyone agrees. But he saves the kid. And then there's a big fight again. They're fighting on the steps, and Dolph Lundgren looks out at his fallen people and goes, so what can men do against such reckless hatred? And Amber Heard shows up and goes, I'm a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Let me
I am no woman.
Let me ride out and fight with you.
Sorry, I am no man. Duh.
I am no man. And right as the baby's about to be stabbed, he sends magic signals over to Aquaman, and Aquaman then, through the power of fatherhood, teleports and throws his trident, and he saves his son, and then he gets into a fight with Manta. And
The best part of the movie, by the way.
Patrick Wilson shows up, and Manta loses all of his power because Patrick Wilson is a better host, and Manta gets knocked aside like the comical joke he is. And then Patrick Wilson, possessed now by the evil of Sauron, hauls Frodo to the edge and bites his finger off looking for the One Ring. Really, he just punches Jason Momoa in the face and actually spills blood on the altar, so now it starts to open up. But the brothers reunite. They come back together. And Jason Momoa throws the One Ring towards the face of Sauron, but he catches it. So Jason Momoa takes his own trident and then saying something in, I think, Maori. I forget what his heritage is in that.
It was something that his father, the Temuera Morrison, had said to him earlier in the movie, but without subtitles.
And he totally pulls a Robin Hood and splits the
yeah.
eye.
Yeah.
He throws it. It goes straight through the Black Trident, and then it hits Sauron. And if you kill both of them, you actually win. So then the Tower of Barad-dûr collapses as they start running. The ground opens up around them, and it takes all the orcs, but leaves the good guys in their army, in their armed formation. As Gandalf sheds a tear.
This is the best plot review you've ever done.
Everyone goes back. Everyone goes up, and they reconvene on an iceberg, and all the penguins are like, WTF, mate, this is our gimmick. And Jason Momoa goes, okay, it's a shame you died down there, my brother. So go lay low and then come back later, and we'll smooth it over. And his brother goes, you're not as bad a king as you seem to think you are, despite having never seen him engage in any form of governance.
I have so much to say about that.
So he leaves. He hugs.
Hang on, because you mentioned it, and I can't. I know, but I'm executive privilege. That line about I have seen what you can do, and you have all these great traits. He's like listing them out, and all I can think is my same complaint about Faramir when he says that bullshit line to Frodo about I think you and I see eye to see each other better.
Understand each other.
Yeah, we have a better understanding of each other now, and I have forever. As much as I love Lord of the Rings, it's like the best written movies ever. That line always bothered me because what did Faramir see that brought him to that conclusion? Nothing. It's never been anything, and it was like done for the sake of moving the fucking plot along and creating a moment that was utterly empty. And here we are again with Patrick Wilson blowing smoke up Jason Momoa's ass based on the nothing he saw that man do that reflected those comments. I had to get that out.
That's fine. So then he hugs the stunt double for Amber Heard, who I'm pretty sure was not present for this series of reshoots.
No, she was in the basement behind the doors as Beware the Leopard.
And anyway, Aquaman's father is okay because he has plot armor in addition to the nifty Mandalorian armor he stole.
Nobody dies from fucking gut wounds.
True. So he gets to reconvene with Nicole Kidman, and Aquaman delivers his big post-fight speech where he unilaterally reveals Atlantis to the world, and he rises a big ship into the Hudson Bay, and all the New Yorkers look at it and go, meh. Because New York.
Yeah.
And he delivers a big speech, and he talks about how we're going to be here, we're going to help you out, and meanwhile, all the actual, functional members of the government of Atlantis look at this broadcast and go, we didn't sign off on any of this.
And the whole DCEU ends with Patrick Wilson eating a cockroach.
Middle of a cheeseburger.
All right, Alexis.
I'm not sure if that or genuinely Jason Momoa, Arthur Curry in universe parodying his in-universe version of Robert Downey Jr. ending the in-universe version of Iron Man is better. This is meta on levels not seen since I desperately tried to make sense of what was going on at the end of Babylon when a fictional character watches a real-world movie that fictionalizes events that he went through, but it's fictionalized from the fictionalized version he went through, but the movie's real, but is he real? What's going on here?
Just listening to that made my brain hurt.
Oh yeah, that is a wear my pants moment if I've ever seen one in the talkies.
It really is.
All right. Alexis has been patiently dealing with my passive aggressivism, patiently dealing with my long story about my new gambling habit, patiently waiting for you to get through your plot
So,
synopsis. And she was
Mark,
she was a good girl. And
would you like to bet on the over/under on when you have to join Gamblers Anonymous?
Oh, very soon. I have no hope. And so she was a good girl, and she deserves a reward, not punishment this time. So,
Oh, good.
Alexis,
You're letting me out of the basement?
not if you keep your mouthing off like that. I won't. Now go ahead.
They got 5% off there, Mark.
Please, Alexis, tell us your craft thoughts on Aquaman and the Lost Lord of the Rings.
As I texted to you earlier, can we just officially call 2023 the year of the shitty editors?
Speak on it, sister.
I will give them the mildest of passes because I assume they're at least trying to do good work and are just every time they get something that they're happy with, they're given another mandate from above. But the editing this year has been awful in final product.
I have lost track of how many movies we have criticized, the pacing, the audio, the editing in general. And yeah, this movie about, and now, okay, we do have to unfortunately go into a little bit about part of the reshoots, because this movie, yes, got I think it probably holds the freaking world record on reshoots.
Just as an aside, and I really don't want to take us off on a tangent, so just go, and let's move on. But have you heard they've had to practically reshoot the entire Captain America 4 movie because it tested so bad?
Yeah.
Yep.
So this might currently hold the title, but there's, Captain America with a briefcase, about to run in and cash it in.
There's Captain America New World Order. I mean, Brave New World. I mean, 1984. I mean, the Hunger Games. I mean, any other dystopian movies we can throw out here.
Yeah, Aquaman might currently have the title. Aquaman might currently have the title, but Captain America 4 is about to hit it with a Halliburton. Go ahead, Alexis.
The pacing in this movie was so bad. And now, again, Mark, we were talking about, we think that part of the reason the editing has been so bad is that we have seen problems with the studios really trying to rush and get completed projects out the door as fast as humanly possible.
I got to add a caveat to that. They're rushing the product, but then when they think they've got a finished product, it sucks so bad they have to go back and redo it. So I think, Robert, you used the phrase with one of the movies we talked about, and you'll some sure shout at me which one it was, where it was scrapbooked together. Indiana Jones, that's what it was. Definitely. I don't think it was just Indiana Jones. I think this is now becoming the norm in Hollywood, where anything that's mainstream with a budget over $150 million is now being scrapbooked because they can't get a functional product together because all these studios are in crisis. Go ahead, Alexis.
Basically shoot the movie 3 times and then piece together.
one of these will get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention the visual effects. Sweet Christ on a cracker. The man-eating flowers alone. The flower. It's
your godson, Jonas, our new Lord and Savior when he gets of age.
I would say, I'm sorry, I apparently missed the baptismal.
You sure did. But don't worry, we'll get caught up to speed. First words out of he begged to do a TikTok, and I threw it up, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Let me tell you my thoughts on this Aquaman movie. First of all, it sucked. I have 3 words for you, like CGI blob or some shit like that. Like he fucking went to town on how bad the CGI was. And as I said, Hollywood, when you've lost the 10-year-old boys, you're in free fall. Pull out of the nosedive, Maverick. Go ahead.
There was a scene of a dude in a jetpack getting whacked with something and flying off and exploding a cliff. And I actually looked at him like, I'm sorry, did I just see Willem Dafoe in the Green Goblin costume fly by? Because it reminded me of the effects levels of the first Spider-Man movie.
Right.
The
PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
PlayStation 2.
The pacing in this was, like I said earlier, it's like you can tell everything that's wrong with this movie in the first 5 minutes. I wasn't kidding. That opening montage showed everything wrong with this film, including the fact of seeing Jason Momoa on the motorcycle and proving, yes, he'll make a better Lobo. Don't give me any shit, Robert.
Keep going.
The only things that I actually enjoyed about this movie, there were 2 small elements. One, I did like Topo. He is a character from the classic cartoons. And the comics, even the whole joke about he plays a variety of musical instruments, that was his gag in the early like silver age or golden age of comics. I'm sorry, wrong time period. He was a musician. It was like, what's that Hanna-Barbera character? Squiddly Diddly. That was kind of the joke.
Okay.
With his clarinet.
I don't know who had money on us naming Squiddly Diddly in this podcast, but you just won a lot of money.
Woot. The other thing is the scenes with Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa where they're not fighting, where this cameraman is holding still while the editor has remembered to take his ADHD medication, and where the visual effects don't look like somebody just got bored and broke out a box of Crayola crayons. The scenes of them just talking is good. I like the scene in the jungle when they're talking, or Aquaman's giving a hard time because he's never eaten a cheeseburger or something, and Orm's like, God, even the way that your food is pronounced is disgusting.
It doesn't help that Jason Momoa can't refer to anything by its actual name. He's shorthanding everything.
Yeah, like I said, these two work really well together. I love the bit where Aquaman's fighting with that giant piece of the super coal, as I'm going to call it. And Orm's like, dude, that's going to explode. He's like, oh, cool. He's funny. And Orm's just like, well, then stop using it. Again, funny. That was funny. And these two were good together. Now, I do have to ask you guys, did you notice a problem with the audio in your theaters? Because I swear to God, there were so many times I could not hear what these actors were saying.
No, I didn't have that problem. But what screen did you watch on? Digital, Dolby, or IMAX?
Not IMAX, just standard digital.
Okay, I saw
the whole scene where they're talking about breaking into the desert compound, and they've got Spirit in the Sky playing because apparently someone decided, hey, why don't we just go ahead and rip off James Gunn some more since he's about to take over? God, the soundtrack to this movie sucked. But yeah, I could not
terrible EDM cover of Wild Thing is just, I want to step on someone's throat over that.
No argument. But yeah, that whole scene when they're talking, I could make out just every other word they were saying. And it wasn't because of the audience, because no one was laughing. They were too busy laughing at the scenes of the baby peeing in Arthur's mouth.
It's moderately funny the first time.
We're simple people who like simple comedy. I don't know what to tell you.
And again, the editing on that is terrible. You could tell they filmed it where they went over the scene and then they actually shot the scene in the desert instead of this back and forth shit. Because I think it would have been fun. I would have liked to have seen him actually breaking into the compound as a whole scene with Topo, but cutting it back and forth killed it, and it was annoying. I mean, hell, I couldn't even understand what fucking Dolph Lundgren was saying about how the suit works.
Right. Yeah, Dolph Lundgren really struggles with his accent in this movie.
So does Nicole Kidman. When did she decide her character should have an accent?
when they called her in to redub her lines.
Yeah.
Because she did not have an accent in the first movie.
Not like this.
She sounded normal. A little formal, but normal.
Yeah, exactly. No, this movie was just painful to sit through. And again, I hate that you can see the elements of what was there beforehand, and you could tell there was something good original. Again, a handful of the scenes with just the characters interacting with no music, no crazy editing, no shitty CGI with them just talking was good. But so much of it was just scrambled and scrapbooked together that it's even more insulting because you're sitting there going, it's not just a piece of shit. It's like, it was something good that you made into a piece of shit.
Yeah. Can I piggyback on that and just go into my thing?
Please.
I think there's a really good movie in here somewhere. It's
almost certainly
here because here's the basic premise of this thing. And it's a tale as old as time. Now, you have the outsider who becomes king, and what makes him a great king is that he is from two worlds, and he just has to figure it's Spock. It's how to reconcile, how to marry the two sides of his existence. And once he knows how to do that, he becomes the best of both worlds. Great. We've seen it 1,000 times. I just said, it's Spock and a million other characters. So the second half of that journey is now you are king, and what made you great was you were a hero. You ran into danger to save the damsels and the children in distress, and you put your life on the line with no thought about what would happen to you because it was more important to save the people you loved. Great, we love that. That's hero work. The problem is those same people struggle with that's why you have people who have become cops and firemen and soldiers, and you have people who become politicians, and they don't always work, when they switch roles. So you have a person who is likes to be free, wants autonomy, wants freedom, and then they're forced to be in this very specific role, be diplomatic, be thinking about policy, be thinking about programming, be thinking about governance, and it's a skill. Not everyone has it. In fact, many people don't. And so your heroes often struggle with that. And so the second leg of their journey is figuring out how to take the best of themselves and apply it to that particular job. And that's the journey that they go on. Again, we've seen this before. We've seen it in a zillion movies. The other part of this is these two brothers from disparate parts of the world trying to find their way back to each other and make each other better. That was the whole thing with with Orm and Aquaman. And it's great. It could have been great. And yeah, you're right. Some of the stuff that is not action oriented, the best stuff is the two of them interacting, kind of. The problem is, again, this movie suffers from having 2 or 3 different bosses in the time that it was developed, 2 or 3 different visions in the time that it was developed, an actress that was toxic and had to be removed from the film, but they couldn't because what the fuck were they going to do besides recast it? And I think they'd already shot her scenes. So they had to minimize her role and write around it.
They confirmed her contract. They couldn't replace her for any extenuating circumstances beyond.
So they had to laughably cut her out as much of the movie as possible to where she's doing silent film at times. She might as well have been There were scenes where she's literally like she might as well be fucking miming. Like Aquaman's giving an explanation. She's just in the background. I'm in a box.
Oh no, there's a headwind.
It's the idea that what movie doesn't have a MacGuffin now? I'm not gonna fault the movie that some handle it well, some handle it don't. Some don't handle it well. Black Manta wanting revenge for having his face nearly cut in half and him being embarrassed. This guy has a huge ego. He's a big badass soldier, yada yada yada. And Aquaman kicked the shit out of him. He's wounded. He wants revenge, and he wants, and he's made it personal. He wants something that belongs to the Sea Kingdom to use against them. Okay, that works. That's plausible. People do that. So again, there's the bones of a really, really good story here, but I would liken this to another Marvel movie, Age of Ultron. There's a great movie in Age of Ultron some fucking where, but it gets shitted up because you have notes that say more comedy, more lightheartedness, more nonsense. And so what's good about Age of Ultron gets buried under a morass of stupidity because the stupidity is half people like it, half they think people like it. That said, again, the stuff with the brothers is good-ish. It's a little hackneyed at times, and it's ruined in some cases by Jason Momoa's silly acting. But after a while, I kind of just stopped caring because I liked what they were saying to each other, and that's all that really mattered to me. The final fight after this movie forever takes getting there between Black Manta and Aquaman actually looked cool and was the best action sequence of this whole thing. You are not wrong, Alexis. This thing is so poorly paced. The first act, and there's a big giant fucking battle in the first act, a big war scene, and both me and my daughter passed out. I could not keep our interest.
I didn't even realize they were in Atlantis. Mm-hmm. At first, I thought they were in some kind of weird reserve off. And then all of a sudden, it's like, we need an extraction. And you see the ship going toward the gate of Atlantis. I'm like, wait, they were in Atlantis? And it's like a Transformers fight scene. There's ships flying at each other, and there's so much CGI. I could not tell. It's like, so did that giant piece that just got shot out, was that a good guy or a bad guy?
Yeah, what you're saying is that the scene was unreadable, and that's my biggest problem with it. But like I said, also, that whole first act is so boringly slow that even a big giant battle scene couldn't fucking fix it.
Here's the other, if you don't mind, you say some of movies have MacGuffins, and that's okay. This movie has the dumbest part of they need a reason, right? Like why all the Atlanteans struggle to take down this one submarine that's like 8,000 years old or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they come up with it's got a sonic cannon that disrupts the nervous system of
Right.
the fish people. Okay, you can like that's kind of dumb, but okay.
Yeah, nobody
then-
thought to shoot the cannon off.
Well, no, and then their solution is we're going to copy Wish and we're going to get the whales to sing at it, and it'll blow up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Somebody needs to do the science of how many whales it would take to do that.
To reflect back a sonic cannon. Yeah, please
Yeah.
let's take government money and spend it on that.
No, seriously. Somebody online, some
Yeah.
YouTube channel,
I'm
figure
bet-
this out.
I'm begging you to do a Kickstarter for it, because if the government actually spends money on that, I will defect.
It will not-
We need
hang
to know
on.
how many
That will
whales were
not
able
be
to.
that will not be the dumbest thing this government has ever spent.
No,
on.
I also saw Obama's stimulus package and saw what some of the goofy studies they paid for. It happened,
No.
Alexis. There was
I was
some
just
dumb
saying,
shit
I
in the
need to
stimulus
know how
package.
many whales it takes to shut down angry, bitchy woman who has no character and I don't even think was freaking named, who just keeps showing up and is scowling.
I believe her character was Rando Broad. The last thing I want to say, and then I'll pitch it over to you, Robert. Look, I get inspiration. I get there's only so many ways you can do a film. There's only so many stories out there. We all saw Lord of the Rings. We loved Lord of the Rings. We talked about Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. We love it. We see it applied ad nauseum across the board in many a film and television production. It's how you handle the material, not that you copied the material. This looks like during the development stage and to do some of the like production design, someone had just seen Return of the King and was like, how long do you have to wait before you can just copy shit and no one notices? And maybe before the advent of podcasts and the internet, you could get away with that because no one talked to each other outside of your work or school. However, now, if you do stuff like that and you have an audience of infinite on the internet that broadcasts from across, and not like we have a huge fucking following, but if we're seeing it, everyone who does this sort of thing is seeing it, and they're all saying the same thing because we all saw Return of the King. And you can't get away with that shit anymore. And why am I the one that figured that out and not the professionals in charge of making a major motion picture on a $200 million budget? Like, what I'm getting at is the lack of thought that went into this movie about what they thought they could get away with is emblematic of the Hollywood bubble and how it's ruining movie after movie after movie. When Hollywood existed in a place where it interacted with the world, with the wider world, and it wasn't such an island unto itself, the movies were better. The more it has become a moon on the other side of the galaxy with, has fucking Deep Space Nine where it has no contact with the human world, the worse the films are becoming. And it's a problem. And I don't quite see how to correct it other than maybe the people in Hollywood should get out and talk to a normie every once in a while. Robert?
I'm going to throw a lot of this at the editing because it feels like, I'm with you guys, there's a better movie in here somewhere. But the fact that so much of this movie is you're trying to set up something, so we need giant exposition dumps over and over and over again. Like at the start of each act, someone sits there and just explains to the audience what's happening and what's going to happen. Then we do something and then somebody else does it. And then we do something and somebody else does it. And it's just, that's bad writing. My assumption is this is a concession to, well, we had to redo this. We had to re-edit it. We had to move stuff around. And at some point, the only way anyone's going to actually know what's happening is if we have someone sit down, look in the camera and go, okay, people, here's what's up.
Which I would have more respect for the film if that's actually what happened.
I'm kind of with you that Momoa and Wilson have good comedic chemistry, which, I mean, I'm very ambivalent on Patrick Wilson in general, and Momoa has really annoyed me. Some of his choices as an actor. I wish he had played this more serious. I don't mean that you have to be like, this isn't Shakespearean. But this iteration of Arthur Curry is a buffoon. And that doesn't work. That's the problem. When you mentioned Amber Heard, I guarantee you the original version of this movie, Mira played a much larger role.
Oh,
I don't know exactly.
For God's sake, we didn't. The fact that they got married was a small drop, and we don't even see them kiss or show any kind of romantic. You know what? Those two actually have so little chemistry. I can't even say they have any romantic. I am 90% convinced they got someone who sounds like Jason Momoa to dub in the line "My love" when he goes to see her, because it's far away. You don't see his mouth move.
It feels like
fucking lines in there.
AI ADR. Just Momoa comes out and says, "I never said that."
Momoa actually has gone on record saying he really couldn't stand acting with her.
So
surprising.
So who's more twatty at the height of their powers, Amber Heard or Brie Larson, Robert? I could just see your head explode, like not in the "I'm mad at you" way, in the "oh my god, mind blown."
Beautiful mind calculations just zipped across the front of my
view. I could see. Oh my god, I can see math.
At the moment, I might, given what we know, I have to go with Amber Heard.
Your brother disagrees. Alexis, 10 words or less. Brie Larson, more twatty at the height of their powers, Amber Heard or Brie Larson?
Brie Larson never shit on her boyfriend/husband's pillow.
That we know.
For real, she did that?
Yeah.
Yo, Amber Heard's my new fucking hero.
I knew you were going to do that.
Fun fact, by the way, I'm friends with an Aquaman cosplayer, and it's a Jason Momoa Aquaman cosplayer, and he looks great in the role.
Okay.
And he actually jokingly said, "I got a review for you," and I was like, "So what? You want to come on my show?" And he's like, "No, none of that." But he sent me a message. My Aquaman 2 synopsis: take every cliche and put it through AI to spit out the script.
Okay. I don't want him on the show because I don't want anyone else on the show anymore. But that's fucking funny. Keep going, Robert.
The end result of this story does feel like AI.
Yeah.
It's that disjointed.
Yeah.
It's that stuff only loosely connects. This is not a very good movie. It's unfortunate because there's a lot of elements here that could have been very good.
Yeah.
I mean, we were mostly complimentary of Abdul-Mateen II when we reviewed Candyman.
Yep.
He wasn't a problem in this.
No, but he's also not really an asset. And
that's not the actor's fault.
Exactly.
No, but again, like that's kind of the point. Like there's pieces here that could have turned into something pretty good. Instead, we get something at best forgettable.
It kind
I'm looking forward to him playing Wonder Man.
It has that. I'm not. It has that, and I have a lot of reasons why, not just because he's black. It has this, like, we've talked about there's no bravery in Hollywood anymore. And
the fact that they menaced the child with a knife, I'll give them a little bit of credit for.
It's reaching. There's no bravery in Hollywood anymore outside of independent and prestige films. There's plenty of bravery there. Have you seen Poor Things? I haven't, but I know. There's interesting things happening in the world outside of mainstream movies, but within mainstream movies, it is all like Walmart brand product, and there's no reason for it. There used to be a time you could make a mainstream movie. I'm finally going to say something complimentary about Marvel. The first couple of years of Marvel movies were interesting. I'll get the Winter Soldier is probably the best example of this.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of bravery and there's a lot of unique qualities to Winter Soldier that make it stand out as one of the best Marvel movies in the entire series.
Among them, the fact that it deliberately upends the status quo.
Right. There's not, and that's the problem, is that it's an outlier. It's not the norm. There needs to be more Winter Soldiers and less Aquaman and Flashes and Shazams. I mean, not that I want to go back through all those movies, but as much as you liked Blue Beetle, and it's not that Blue Beetle was a horrible movie, Alexis, but I think we can all agree, I'm speaking for you out of turn, I apologize, but I think we can all agree 2023 was one bland Walmart product after another out of Warner Brothers. It sucks. None of this had a vision.
Believe me, I wish
like
it was only Warner Brothers that produced.
No, but that's what we're
litany
focusing
of
on. Go ahead,
bland
Alexis.
I'll say no.
products.
I liked Blue Beetle. I have
Mhm.
not watched it again since it came on to streaming. So there's a difference between liking and saying, good film, want to see it again.
Yes, you took the words right out of my mouth for the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's like I will defend Blue Beetle against a bunch of the other DC films, and there's still a lot of things I really did like about it, but that doesn't mean I want to see it again. I'm glad I saw it.
If I had
on.
a nickel this year alone for every time I've said I liked it, that doesn't make it a good movie, I wouldn't live in the house I'm currently living in. Anyway, Robert.
Sorry, just your old side. I think of the funniest thing you've done in ages.
He's making sure he's not being overheard.
Oh no, I want to be overheard.
Oh, want to see if someone,
Practically screaming this podcast through the wall.
he's looking to see if the joke had the intended consequences. Then.
See, I was just hoping that somebody is far enough back against your green screen, because when you lean back, you disappear. So I just want like some hands to come out like a horror movie and grab you, like they've been
They'd
there.
have to
the
go
whole
through several
time.
walls, and they'd have to go through several walls and an emotional support boy to do that. Go ahead, Robert. Finish up.
Leaving that alone.
Yep.
I think I heard the Critical Drinker briefly mention this about like not just Aquaman, but the DC movies the last year and a half or so.
Thank you for referencing thank you for taking the time to reference the drinker and not cop it as your own thought.
He mentioned that part of the problem with a lot of these last DC movies, and Flash might be a glaring exception to this, but because the problems with Flash run deeper than the following complaint. Like, there's a lot of decent enough pieces in place for most of these movies, but ultimately the problem is they're just kind of bad movies.
Yeah.
And we're not in a place anymore where a mediocre film can make $1 billion.
Not on these budgets.
And that's not just Warner Brothers. Like, Disney and Marvel learned that the hard way this year too.
And not just Disney and Marvel, but I mean, it's not like Paramount's big one this year, Mission Impossible, failed at the box office. Universal is probably the most successful movie studio this year, and we're going to talk about it next week in a few minutes. But like, Migration had like the worst debut ever of an Illumination movie in years.
Hang on, I'm gonna. Somebody came out and mentioned like, boy, this year sucks for DreamWorks and Illumination and
everyone.
Pixar. Because, like, boy, Elemental had the lowest Pixar opening ever. And then Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken.
Right.
Oh my God. I had literally forgotten that came out.
I know one person that saw that, and I think she's the only one.
And then Migration. And like,
Right.
oh boy, these are the lowest openings for these studios. And guess what they all have in common? They're original ideas. And I wanted to punch this person in the face. Like, no. Well, let's take half a step back here and talk about why these failed. Elemental failed to the extent that it failed because Disney and Pixar had murdered their audience.
Sure.
That's it. Ruby Gillman failed because it was very poorly marketed.
Yes, it was. Next.
Yeah. The trailers alone gave away the plot twist.
You would have thought it was a straight to like Netflix something because it had
Yes.
no marketing at all.
Hey, the straight to Netflix animated films this year were good.
Yes. And Migration is suffering. Look, there's a long history of movies coming out on Christmas. The Christmas movie market is always depressed when Christmas Eve or Christmas Day falls during the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We had Christmas Eve was Sunday this year, so the day before Christmas Eve is Saturday, and then Christmas is Monday. This depresses the movie market over that period of time. That had more to do with Migration struggling than, oh no, it's an original idea and those don't sell anymore.
Because I was going to say, I don't remember when the original Sing came out, but I know Sing did awesome, and then Sing 2, because it had such a following, came out around Christmas, and I remember that doing fairly well.
Again, like the last 2 years, like I think last year Christmas
Mhm.
was Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and it just depresses the movie-going market when that happens on those days, and this is one of those cases.
All right. Anything else about Aquaman? Because like we're now like dangerously dancing in the money section.
Um,
Can somebody please phone David's Glass and ask why the hell did you think Batgirl and Coyote versus Acme would be worse than this?
Look,
Yep.
I'm going to answer that question for you. This, you got to remember Lizard Brain. You got to remember that Zaslav had a lot of prejudice against anything that was originally meant for streaming, because say what you want about Zaslav, and I understand he's the devil to you, but giving the devil his due and being fair to Flair, this is a guy who before a lot of other people in his position looked at streaming and went, "Oh God, this is a deal with the devil, and we're all going down." So whether or not he made individually good decisions is a whole other conversation, a whole other podcast, and is absolutely debatable, and it's fair to criticize in some areas. God knows Robert has in the previous podcast. However, I'm giving him credit for going, anything meant directly for Max has got to go. It's got to be garbage. This is going to cost us millions and go nowhere. And you know what Batgirl and Acme versus Coyote had in common? They were both meant for Max. As opposed to Aquaman, which was always in design and conception meant to be a feature exhibition. Finish up.
And has only lost so much money, it tanked their potential merger with Paramount.
Yes, well, he didn't know that at the time, being fair. The man doesn't have a fucking crystal ball or DeLorean.
Now, say what you will, I still say he's Satan.
No one's arguing that point with you.
To your point, Mark, like, he looked at, well, we're spending how much money on streaming content that's not generating revenue for us, and why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Fair questions. Deciding to release The Flash.
I mean, your brother just fucking.
My brother is correct.
Yeah, so I'll address it. Sequel to a movie that made $1 billion, or Batgirl for HBO Max. I mean, look, if I'm David Zaslav, I'm making the call to keep Aquaman and kill Batgirl if those are my options. Go ahead, Robert.
This one doesn't surprise me. Again, like, The Flash is the one that I kind of looked at and went, if I'd seen a rough cut of this and looked at all the baggage attached to it, I would have said no. Like, if I'm going to, I mean, bear in mind, he's canceled so many movies for tax write-offs that the IRS is now looking into this.
Well, no, I think at that point he turned into me with gambling. Where he's like, well, I enjoy what I'm doing now. Like he's getting a dopamine rush. It's like, what else can I cancel around here? Like,
Deleted.
walking into offices. What are you working on? I don't a fucking crossword. Cancel. You know, like, just knocking shit out of people's hands.
But if there was, look, man, if there was one of these that should not have seen the light of day, I'm not joking. It was The Flash.
Yes, it was the one that caused you to. It was one that got you to call everyone ghouls. All right. Anything else on Aquaman, my love?
I stand by that. No, it's not very good, and if you do want to watch it, wait for streaming so you can skip through all the unnecessary parts.
And you can put subtitles on and actually understand what the fuck they're saying.
So my son, like I said, my son thought it sucked. And my son has like a lot of goofy shit. He famously liked the second Venom movie. There's he liked Morbius. Again, no accounting for taste of a 10-year-old. But when the 10-year-old boy likes Morbius and Venom Let There Be Carnage and says nope to Aquaman, you done fucked up. And then there's my daughter who slept through the first act, and in the last two acts was like,
why can't I watch Amber Heard do something?
It was fine. My daughter at the end of Aquaman turned into Newt from Aliens. They're dead. All right, can we go now? So there it is, Aquaman 2, everyone. And now, as if we haven't already been talking about it, the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Alrighty, I'm gonna move this up so I don't get yelled at by my love Alexis Hejna. On a budget of $215 million on the high end, this thing made $128.4 million. And an extra long sound for the whole DCEU.
Extra long sound for the entire freaking year.
Dude, next week, man. So not migration, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. Everyone wants to know this. Next week, we're talking migration. We'll ring in the new year, January 1st, right here, day one, on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. We'll talk migration. And Zachary Strobel will have a song number. It'll be great.
Yep.
It's been too long since we've had Zach on here.
The week after. The week at Mark. This is your policy. Don't be bitter about your policy. The week after that is Rebel Moon, yes?
Yeah.
So when we review Rebel Moon, which I think is just you and me, you're on it?
Yep.
I wish you were.
I'm coming along to review Star Wars with blackjack and hookers. In fact, forget the Star Wars.
And forget the hookers. We got to be PG-13.
Oh, this sounds dreadful.
Don't ruin the Bender joke, man.
Get on with it.
When we review Rebel Moon, that's when we're also, the back half of that is going to be our 2023 year in review.
I'm going to be fucking shit-faced. I am going to be drinking a lot during that show because how else am I supposed to get through this?
Yeah, that's the main reason I'm on that show, Robert.
I'm going to look. Here's how I'm going to be handling our year in review show. I'm going to be drinking. There's going to be drugs. I'm going to have a hooker nearby, and I'm going to be gambling because I can't figure out how else I'm going to get through having to explain the previous year of movies.
We don't have to explain blackjack? We just have to talk about it.
It's same.
So the point there being, like, we're going to dissect this
rotting corpse.
The year the budgets went to die. I don't know how to phrase this.
I want to we don't do skits on the show or anything like that, but I kind of wish we did because we need to write a skit where someone's like, there's like a series of people like pitching it. That sounds great. I really like your concept here. What do you need? I need $200 million. Get the fuck out. All right, what do you got? I got this movie. It's we've got these actors already signed on to do this. It's a passion project. Okay, I like where you're going with this. How much do you need? $200 million. Get the fuck out. Like just over and over again.
I'd like to call this the year the editors and visual effects artists were sold into slavery.
That's been going on for a while now. We just got into Auschwitz and found them is the problem.
Yes. Okay, fair enough.
This is the year when when the VFX crew in particular is finally going to be liberated, unionized, and make everything difficult.
Okay, if I may,
a return to practical effects will come when the VFX people say never again.
Again, I'm just picturing just like tanks and shit just barreling down the gates at Disney and Warner Brothers, and they fucking find them. This is like at their computers, they're all emaciated. Like what happened here?
Somebody in the back cracking the whip, Conan style.
Years and years in the future, we'll sit down and talk with our grandfathers and they'll tell us the horror stories of the liberated VFX artists. Why they don't talk about it anymore.
It's going to be like that one cold opener from Banksy on The Simpsons.
They'll be racist, telling it never happened. We treated them well. Are you kidding me? The VFX artists never had it any better.
No, that won't be the racist. That'll be the executives.
You know what I meant. All right.
And the over apologists for.
As of December 25th,
there'll be a museum in Washington D.C.
2023. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom has grossed $38.3 million in the U.S. and Canada, and $80.1 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $118.4 million. In the U.S. and Canada, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom was released alongside.
There was a pause there, and my apologies. I was going to say, for a movie that probably needs $500 million when you factor in advertising, this ain't looking good.
No, and considering it was made with the premise that it would make $1 billion, just like the last one, this is a wild underperformance.
Oh, yeah.
At best. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom was released alongside Migration, Anyone But You, The Story of My Marriage, and The Iron Claw. And let's look, folks, I could make jokes and laugh, or I could be somber and cry. You choose. I don't care which.
Look, man, there's a reason I just hung my head because I sympathize. I wasn't gonna say a darn thing about that one.
And The Iron Claw, and was projected to gross around. Hey, bang bang! And was projected to gross around $40 million in its 4-day opening weekend. The film earned $13.7 million on its first day, including $4.5 million from Thursday night previews, and went on to have a traditional opening weekend of $28.1 million, the fourth lowest of the DCEU, and the second worst of films unaffected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Could we jam a few more qualifiers into that turducken? Alrighty. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom debuted at number 1. Wonka fell from 1 to 2. Migration.
A pretty good hold for Wonka.
Yeah, 53.7.
It's interesting, actually, to think that Warner Brothers has released such terrible movies, but they also released 3 of arguably the best movies of the year: Oppenheimer, Barbie, and Wonka.
Yeah, it is. It's weird. It's like a Moneyball thing where they didn't release a lot, but what they did pretty well outside of the DC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the next move for David Zaslav is going to be to cut ties with the DC property altogether because it's underperforming for them so badly.
Only because I want to see, I want to see everyone in our chat just fucking commit harikari. I want to see him cut. No, wait, I can't do that joke now because Nolan's with Universal and not. Yeah, Nolan's with Universal. Alexis, Oppenheimer was Universal, not Warner Brothers.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. My bad. I could have sworn it was Warner Brothers.
That was half of what the Oppenheimer. Yeah, I'm not going to beat you up on it because I fucked up too. That was half of what the Barbenheimer thing was. It was Universal and Warner Brothers going head to head on the same day, and neither one willing to budge in a game of chicken.
Well, anyway, still Wonka and Barbie.
Yes, you nice save. You are correct.
I would burn down Warner Brothers if I could, it turns out. I look at what was released this year.
Like, Oppenheimer is like the only thing that was saving it, and that's not that studio. Good.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Well
so
done,
Robert
people.
now wants to burn down Disney and Warner Brothers.
What studio doesn't want to burn down?
I never said I wanted to burn down Disney.
You have hinted at it plenty of times.
Migration
what they're
debuted at number
doing.
3. Anyone But You,
That's
number 4. Solar, number 5. The Iron Claw, number 6. The Hunger Games fell from 2 to 7. It's a hell of a hold, though, for fucking 6 weeks out.
Because nothing else was taking it.
Yeah, that movie was well positioned in the schedule to have no competition for.
It was so funny. The Hunger Games, like, accidentally found itself in the position of being on the bridge with no way for the orcs to get around it, and it just knocking bitches off the bridge. It's great. And then, finally, Chris Bailey. All right.
Boy and the Heron at 8. Great
3 to
movie, by
8.
the way.
Godzilla 4 to 9. Poor Things 9 to 10. Trolls Band Together, which we're not reviewing. People leave me alone. 11 to 5. Wish.
That's Mark subtweeting his daughter, by the way.
Wish 6 to 12. Napoleon 7 to 13. Leave my children alone before I start saying nasty things to you.
What? No, I said Wish, not Trolls.
Oh,
I wasn't insulting your kids. I was insulting Disney.
Okay.
Yeah, Wish had another huge fall.
Yep. Renaissance, the film by Beyonce.
Otherwise known as I Could Be as Taylor Swift.
American Fiction opened in a bunch of theaters, and that jumped from 20 to 15. The Holdovers, an Oscar contender, 18 to 16. Saltburn, which my father did not like, fell from 14 to 17.
Father's correct.
All of Us Strangers, 18. Silent Night fell from 12 to 19. And then Zone of Interest popped up to number 20. Also, we have Freud's Last Session, which debuted at number 23. Memory, 25. Noryang, Deadly Sea, 29. And that was The Weekend That Was. All right. Worldwide on the dime, baby. Do we have any movement? Yes? No? Maybe? Nope. Fuck off. Moved. The Hunger Games has not beaten Indiana Jones. So let's talk about that for just a second.
Yet.
Okay. I hate to do it. I really hate to do it. But applause for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. They have held on to that number 10 spot.
I'm not giving him the soccer participation trophy. Fuck off. Okay. Ant-Man and the Wasp somehow being like the guy in the Royal Rumble who somehow makes it to the final 4 for, because no one else bothered to eliminate him doesn't get credit.
Hang on. This is a reference only Mark will get. But congratulations to Santino Marella.
I actually get that reference.
That's great.
Ant-Man!
Bravo. All right.
I hate that I got that reference, but I got that reference.
All right. Here are the movies.
At least one of you. I'm happy with it.
Here are the movies that haven't beat The Flash just yet. The Nun 2, Wonka.
No, hang on. We're still doing worse than Five Nights at Freddy's. Come on.
All right.
I thought we were doing worse than Shazam.
Hey, here's the thought.
That's way too far down.
here are the movies doing better than the Marvels: Dungeons and Dragons, Sound of Freedom, Taylor Swift, Wonka, The Nun, Flash, Creed, Five Nights at Freddy's, and The Hunger Games. In order to even get close to the top 10, the marker is 476 with Ant-Man and the Fentanyl Corpse. Of the live movies currently in theaters, you've got The Hunger Games, which has come the closest at 315. Then you got Wonka at 263, which apparently it's still making money. And then
Wonka probably peters out below Five Nights at Freddy's would be my guess, but around.
And then there's nothing else. There's literally Aquaman on the board at number 42, and a threesome it didn't want to be in between Gran Turismo and Haunted Mansion. Ugh.
Haunted Mansion, speaking of bad editing.
Speaking of movies that lost Disney a boatload of money.
Yeah. Well, folks.
What can we say? It was a bad year for the movies.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to talk about real quick.
Mark's capitalistic soul is going to be crushed when we talk about these on Rebel Moon. Like he can't deal. So,
if for those of you who, most people they tune in just because they want to see what we think of the movies, or they want to hear us hate fuck the movies, either one or both. But I enjoy talking about what's going on in the news, and so for those that may not know this, Paramount needs drugs and is currently hooking on the side of the road, selling what it can of itself to try to make money for the drugs. And Warner Brothers has been cruising the boulevard looking for a hooker and found one in Paramount.
Allow me to express to you the back end of why this is so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Warner Brothers is trying to pay the hooker with stamps and insisting their legal currency because they're so far in debt.
Stamps nothing. They're paying with Monopoly money.
I was going to say, this is the bit from History of the World where they're paying in leaves.
Look, I say stamps because technically they are, in fact, legal tender.
Yeah, it's bad, man. So I was listening to The Town talk about this, and I think there might have been a plain English show on it, where basically, like, Warner Brothers can't find its fucking ass with a flashlight, and so in terms of creating content that people would actually want to see, so the party is over. Now, we talked about this before, and I don't want to get too long into it because I don't want to be here all night, but we have talked about it sometimes more, sometimes less, that everyone fell over their own dicks trying to create streaming content and create streaming apps, especially in the wake of COVID-19 and the lockdowns. And we've said a while ago, the streaming war is over, the party's over. Everyone's sort of, waking up the next morning going, oh God, I have no pants and no money, and I might have gotten herpes. Here's the thing.
I'd have.
Here's the thing. It's now worse than that. It's not only do they just dumping the gross national product of Rwanda into your fucking streaming product is not the way. It's not the way. It's not the way to make money. It's it's not the way to run your railroad. So it's now worse than that. They're actually actively running away from their own streaming products. Like, they're looking now, a lot of companies are looking to just end their fucking streaming apps and just go back to the good old days of selling their shit to Netflix. That's what's happening here.
You got Netflix and Amazon Prime that are going to still be around after this.
Right. So Warner Brothers is now, again, looking
Disney
for a
Plus
hooker.
Probably too.
I'm making the hooker reference, but it's more like they're into child trafficking, because they're literally just trying to buy children now because they can't have any of their own. What I mean by that is, my own stupid way, is that Warner Brothers wants a library of content that it can turn around and sell to Amazon and or Netflix. They don't want Max anymore. In Paramount Plus, like, me and some old deputies watch. That's for Taylor Sheridan shows, and David watches Star Trek. That's about it. That's your audience. And so the Paramount Plus app, nobody deals with. Max, nobody deals with. And when I say nobody, don't argue with me. It's not enough that it matters, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. So Warner Brothers is like, let's just fucking get out of this fucking quagmire we're in. Let's buy another content library, and then let's resell that shit to Amazon and Netflix, and we'll actually maybe, I don't know, see black one of these days in the near future, maybe in the year of our Lord 2025. That's what's interesting about the Paramount Warner Brothers merger, is that this is the beginning.
That's not happening.
This is the canary in the
by way.
coal mine
No,
of the beginning.
That was
Yeah.
the idea.
Okay, go ahead.
The
Tag in.
that was the idea. You're entirely right.
Mhm.
The problem is that one, Warner Brothers is still in debt up to their eyeballs.
Yeah,
Dude, their last, my favorite GIF all year
mhm.
that I saw online. Alexis, you remember that Daffy Duck bit where he's like trying to be Robin Hood and he swings off and he runs into a tree?
Yoinks
Yes.
and away! Pff,
You know
Yes.
so well.
Yoinks and away! Pff, yeah, of course I
It's
know
that. Warner Brothers is Daffy, and it's them trying to merge. So here's AOL, and here's
Yoinks and
Discovery,
away! Pff,
and here's their attempt at Paramount.
Yeah, it's not good. So I guess that deal is dead now. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted you to speak on.
Yeah, that again, it was proposed. It was apparently in talks, but all things considered, I believe as of now, that's not happening. It's dead. I saw some people going, "Hey, the FTC should be stepping in, shouldn't they?" Implying the FTC is good for anything, by the way.
So Paramount still needs a buyer. Paramount is, look, that's a company that's not going to exist in a few years, and they're selling off assets that,
And
I
we can trace that all back to Babylon, I bet. Just
no, we can't. It goes past that. But
it's
there's
funnier if that's true.
So we keep talking about like Netflix. Netflix is his own company, and Netflix is like the big cheese, and Netflix won the streaming wars essentially. Then you have Amazon, which is not as competitive with Netflix, but it could be. It got the big library, the MGM. It's now looking for other libraries, so they're a contender for Paramount. The other one I'm hearing is Apple. That Apple is also trying
Apple's
to do
looking.
Yeah.
There's two that again, Apple might look at Paramount. The other, again,
Mhm.
this is rumblings and rumors, so take this with as much salt as you feel necessary. But there's a lot of people who have been making a lot of noise about Apple looking at Disney.
I knew you were going to say that, and I'm like, with what fucking money? Well, okay, you're not saying Disney trying to
No,
Yeah.
Apple's trying to buy Disney.
buy Disney. Yes, I misheard you. Go ahead.
So again, that's the other rumbling is Apple, because they got Apple TV Plus, which
Mm-hmm.
is producing quality content, but nobody cares because nobody has it.
Right.
So there's a handful of people going, Ted Lasso's the best thing since sliced bread, and the rest of us going, okay, so which website do I fire up for that one?
And how do I watch this?
Or I mean, I've heard good things about the Monarch series,
Mhm.
which
I've heard a
tracks-
lot of good things about what is it called, the morning show, the Jennifer Aniston.
Yes,
Reese
I
Witherspoon
watched
show.
when I was able to watch TV, and talk and just watch it and not have to do a podcast on it. I watched the first season of Morning Show, and it's great. I loved it.
Yeah, so again, Apple TV is actually making some pretty good stuff quality-wise, but they have no footprint.
Mm-hmm.
Apple has enough money to buy Disney, and again, there's rumor that Bob Iger is like half trying to broker that, and that's going to be his cue to exit with a giant bonus.
Sure. But if he has to
And
pull it off, he fucking deserves it, especially considering the state of that company.
no, he would just be selling off stuff to sell it off. I would rather Bob Iger be tarred and feathered and run out of town. But that's
Okay,
just
I
me.
really wish you'd stay on planet Earth with us. We like you here.
No, you don't.
Okay. Fucking bad
You,
sarcasm.
the general you, Mark, you in particular like me, and I accept that, and I appreciate it.
And passive aggressive male wife that I have. Nobody likes me. I'm like throwing compliments at you. No.
If I was part of the first like colonization mission to Mars, no one would care. And it's
Okay. And on that fucking depressing note,
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
and on our latest edition of This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things.
No. We have to play the game on this one because it's funnier.
Yes.
Okay, so for those of you listening, Aquaman at the moment sits at 36% with critics.
Yep.
Rotten. 79% on the audience score. Mark, please click on these because it's even funnier.
I
did
would have
this for
gotten
the
there
record.
eventually. Why do you rush me? Like, Jesus.
Hang on. So top critics.
Down to
Goes
24.
Goes from 36 to 24. Here's the funnier part. Go from verified audience to all audience. Goes from 79 to 67.
Yeah. But again,
That's a massive drop for the audience score, by the way, because they don't usually go that far. That's
can
a
we
bigger
not
swing.
ignore the disparate, like, people who think about films thought this was god awful. People who don't think about films thought this was bright colors and jingling keys. And I hate to be that guy because I am of the jingling keys audience when I want to be. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I wake up and I'm hoity, and sometimes I wake up and, and I like bright colors and jingling keys. Alexis is right there. She's on my lap, and she's like, color. And I'm like, you're right. Like, that's what we are. And then, what? And then I said we. But then there were times when I'm just like, I need caviar films and fine wine. And it's just a fucking audience.
Here's the, and look, I'm fine with the small number of people who saw this thing saying they had a good time. I'm not going to begrudge them that.
Mm-hmm.
The real problem with this movie is that no one saw it.
Yeah.
Like this, we do this segment, and I love this segment. And 9 times out of 10, this is a relevant segment. The problem that this movie ran into was no one watched it.
Yeah.
I saw this. Literally the only guy in my theater. I went this morning.
That's why I took the picture. Like I was trying to be funny about it, but a few people like came in after, but I'm not kidding. When we got there, we were the only people there, and we were there close to showtime. The fucking theater was empty. This was Friday at 7.
I went to a 3:00 showing. I'd say about a third of the audience was full.
Okay, really? 3:00 on what day?
Today.
With Christmas passing, that tracks. People are on vacation right now. But
again,
I saw it Friday night.
I saw it this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I was the only guy in that theater.
There you go.
Yeah, but you purposely go for the matinees that never have anyone there. You always have.
This was not the first showing today. I went to the one. It was close. And noon, day after Christmas, for Aquaman to have nobody there other than me.
Yeah. All right. The AI writes, Jason Momoa remains a capable and committed leading man, but even DC diehards may feel that Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom sticks to familiar waters.
That's a very tepid AI response. How many times did you have to regenerate that?
Write me a critical consensus.
Write me a synopsis
for Aquaman. This movie sucks. No, bad AI. Do it again.
We appreciate the attempt. Could you be a little more complimentary? Could you say, and can you include something about Jason Momoa?
It doesn't quite suck out loud. God damn it, AI.
Can you stop drawing from the 9-year-old contingent?
I don't even know where to start with this. Let's see. Sean Chandler talks about what? Talks about trans
cashing
people?
welfare.
What are we doing here? Picks up exactly where the first film left off. If you didn't like the first film,
no, it doesn't. This does not pick up where the first one left off. There's enough time that's passed for him to get married and have a child. That is an inaccurate statement, you dunce.
If you didn't like the first film, it's unlikely this film will win you over. I enjoyed the first film, and I had a good time with this. I'm not going to be mean.
Yes, you are.
Do it.
You want me to be? Because I'm about to make a joke about you. This relationship between Aquaman and Orm was the standout.
This person can see Russia from their house.
There we go. Nice save, Robert. Sarah Michelle Fetters, moviefreak.com, top critic. This final dive into the undersea world of the DCEU implodes under the pressure likely generated by all the behind-the-scenes tinkering. As last hurrahs go, get her, Alexis. This one's lost at sea.
Puns aside, I agree with her.
No shit.
Sorry.
I was willing to go with you for the first one. I really was. I'll give you one for a themed movie to make one pun. I don't know that you could have crammed more into that 2 sentences than you did.
Fair enough.
Roger Moore, Robert's father of Movie Nation. Make it stop. Make it stop. Roger Moore doing his best slappy squirrel. Because at this point, we've kind of given up on make it better. And you've given up on writing reviews, sir. At this point, you're
No,
just writing
I'm-
letters. You're just writing help letters.
This is his hostage negotiation. This is like his
Yeah, I was gonna
hostage letter.
say.
I'm look, man, we've all been burned out by this year. I will give him a pass on the please make it stop.
Andrea Chase of Killer Movie Reviews. The Inuai is crushing.
First of all, okay, Mark,
Yes.
I love you.
What, did I pronounce it wrong?
Did.
How is it pronounced?
That's ennui.
Ennui. The ennui is crushing. Thanks.
Ennui just means like depression or boredom.
I got it.
I was
It's a
going to say, I had no idea what that word was.
It's French. And natural, which should surprise no one.
I swear to God,
come
I've heard it pronounced Inuai, by the way. And not that I'm
You've
saying it's
heard-
right. I'm just saying that's
No,
how
no.
I've heard it pronounced.
I'm sure you have.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard it by people you're doing intake for going, I'm being crushed by the ennui, man.
No, if anyone said that to me, I wouldn't fucking put them on suicide watch, okay? I would forgive them.
Yeah, again, ennui is just it's depression, it's boredom, it's like it's just it's not just those in general. It's a specific level of like being overwhelmed by them, and leave it to the French to come up with a specific word for that.
Frida Cooper of Sci-Fi Now. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is a soggy mess. Unfunny, overlong, and a damp squib when compared to the original, and that, let's face it, was no classic. But at least it has some energy and a sense of fun. It's not just the kingdom that's been lost. Get her, Alexis.
Damp squib.
That's actually a very no. That's a damp squib is a squib that fails to fire. Squibs used to be how they would detonate. You'd put on a vest and it had blood packs in it. So when you see people shot in old movies and the thing explodes outward, that's a squib.
Yeah, I know what a squib is. It's just, again, it's like of all the word choices that you
All the
go with.
metaphors.
Yeah, it's like, no, I know what it is,
I
but
would have gone with lame duck personally, but someone's saving that for migration, I bet.
without question.
All the lame duck puns next week, Mark. So many of them.
Prepare
Yeah.
the shot glasses.
I'll prepare the shotgun.
Right. I need you to do the new podcast with a fucking hunting hat. Like Elmer
If I,
Fudd.
Yeah, should we be reading the positives, by the way, to make fun of
I
these
have one.
idiots?
I have
we're,
one.
We're just finding people that amuse Mark at this point. It's okay.
Uh-huh. There you got it. Russ Simmons of KKFI-FM Kansas City. Hey, one of Alexis's neighbors. There's over 200 million worth of eye candy in the story of our hero's attempt to save the world from Black Manta and global warming, and about $5 worth of originality in the screenplay.
That
That's a
tracks.
positive.
That tracks about the allotment of finances.
Yeah, but then again, I really don't think they're giving the VFX artists enough. It's like, you really think they spent that much on that?
Someone hurt Tara McNamara of Common Sense Media. They hit her in the head. She suffered some sort of brain injury. And when she woke up, they said, please write us a review of Aquaman. And this is what she came up with. Superhero sequel has comic book violence, creepy monsters. Okay, Tara, go back to sleep now.
I'm going to really hope that's a very odd pull from your review.
Yeah, it's like, please tell us that there was just
Or
a loss in communication between the websites.
Did her kid write that and she
hang on.
handed it in?
Alternatively, if your big disclaimer at the top of your review is, so this was bring your daughter to work day and my 5-year-old turned this in.
Okay, you know what?
I'll accept
I'm
that.
looking her review up.
Okay. Come back to us.
If your head just explodes, we'll know why.
Okay, Common Sense Media.
The
movie
future ex-Mrs.
reviews.
Winfree, Amy Nicholson of the Wall Street. When did Amy Nicholson start writing for the Wall Street Journal?
When
How
the
does
New
this
York
woman
Ti-
keep getting work?
When the former newspaper that is the New York Times fired her a couple of weeks ago, I don't know.
Good fucking Christ, man. Does she fail upwards? Top critic. This sequel has an excuse, nay, a financial imperative to get even wetter and weirder. That's what never mind.
Okay.
And plot-wise, we're given much of the same.
Okay, I got the Common Sense Media thing. Common Sense Media is a parental guide website. So the phrase superhero sequel has comic book violence, creepy monsters is not a review. It is, parents, this is a general summation of things, because the rest, there is no review. It's like positive message, positive
Nope.
role models, diverse of representation,
So wait,
violence and scariness.
Rotten Tomatoes is tracking the taglines from a guide site and putting it on their website as a review.
Ridiculous.
Dear Rotten Tomatoes, take that off, put us on.
No,
Zulu-
seriously, that is all this website is. It
I
is for
believe
parents, for educators. Parents say ages 10 and up, watch the movie. Any iffy comment.
It's keywords. It's a bunch of keywords,
Yeah.
so you can sort by them.
All right.
Okay. That's a
Julia-
useful service.
The
But
future
yeah, it's
not a
not a
review.
review site.
The future ex-Mrs. Radulich, Julia Glassman of the Mary Sue, Robert Winfree of the Screaming Boy podcast. It's fine. It's fun. It's boring sometimes. It's bright, colorful, and kind of clumsy. If you're looking for somewhere to spend 2 hours of a chilly winter day, then Atlantis might be as good as any place, as good a place as any.
It's really not, though.
No.
There were 5 better movies in my megaplex that I could have gone to see and spent about as much time.
Stay home and watch something on streaming, for God's sakes. Netflix just got Across the Spider-Verse and Super Mario Brothers. Go
Which you
watch
are
those.
Nothing if not consistent. The future ex-Mrs.
I'm rewatching the extended version of Lord of the Rings, actually. I'm due to hit Return of the King at some point in the near future.
Yeah, January is when I do my annual rewatch. My son's now of age where we're going to watch it together. Having my daughter having already passed through those doors.
Hang on, theatrical or extended for your son?
Whatever I can find. I don't have physical media anymore.
Max has it, so you get to choose.
Or hope. Jeremy, the future ex-Mr. Alexis Hejna, Jeremy Johns of JeremyJohns.com.
I rolled my eyes. Move
No,
along.
I made the joke earlier. You kind of stepped on it. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry. The characters are a bunch of nothing burgers. I feel like he stole that from you. They have no development. They're just kind of there.
Not wrong.
If you're gonna bust out the nothing burger, I feel like he could have made a cockroach reference as well, just for the sake of doing it.
I think Dr. Shin was the only character in this entire movie who went through any kind of development.
Best friend of the show, William Bibiani of the Rap Top Critic.
Just last week it was this guy I knew on this guy on the corner. Now he's the best friend of the podcast.
A hacked up mess, and that's not just the editing, but boy, is it also the editing.
Yeah.
The editing is the big problem here. Probably the biggest.
The future ex-Mrs. Alexis Hejna, Grace Randolph of Beyond the Trailer. What? We are allies of the LGBTQ community, and I will marry her off to any woman I choose.
Hey,
you can marry me off to a woman. You're just not marrying me off to her.
So I guess
Princess Peach doesn't have a good story arc. It's a bad influence. Sorry, this woman's. I
guess everyone only did want to spend 5 nights at Freddy's. She opened her box office talk the week after 5 Nights at Freddy's with that line.
Yeah. Well, this is a solid family adventure movie. It doesn't feel anything like a DC movie. You know, the franchise it's a part of, and it lacks dignity. A very sad way for the DCEU era to end. Randall Park is great, though, in a surprisingly large role.
Because, again, he's the only character who has any kind of character growth.
Grace Randolph's ability to generate notoriety is a sad, tragic indictment on our world.
I love this guy. I will never not read his stuff. Travis Hobson of Punch Drunk Critics. It's just disappointing that Momoa's final time as the King of the Seas didn't make a bigger splash. Do you get it? Because he's Aquaman, and Aqua is water, and water is sweat.
Play the rim shot, Mark.
Yeah, just do it.
Just play the rim shot.
Okie dokie.
That tracks.
So many comments here. Oh, okay. So your brother just like going crazy here.
Sure.
Go support Godzilla. Fellowship is in theaters for an extended. Take your child, Mark. Don't deprive him. I'll see what I can do. I'm a busy man. Good grief. Your brother's like yelling at me over here. We're getting along so well.
He'll do that.
Robbie Collin, grumpier than Robert Winfree, Daily Telegraph UK. It felt like the entire clumps of gray matter were giving up the gig in disgust of sailing out my ears.
Again, me, but British.
Yes. British Robert Winfree. Where's Black Robert Winfree? I haven't seen him in a while.
One of these days when I want to get us all canceled, I'll just show up in blackface and insist you call me Armand White the whole review.
You know I will. I don't know why you're throwing that out there.
I know you will. That's why I'm saying it.
Oh, Alexis can't get out of that. That'll be the one podcast where I'm like, no, Alexis, you have to be on.
I will be literally holding up my notepad in front of my face the whole time.
That's okay. I'm gonna have the
this
logo.
Will be my screen the entire time.
That's okay. I'll have the website for your company up the entire time. Also,
we'll be doing it. We'll be doing it over here on this side of the screen, and over there will be just all of this brought to you by the good people at Honeysuckle Rose Creation.
What is this? If I'm taking down the ship, you're all going down with me, kind of a thing.
I'm taking it down. I'm taking as many people with me as I can.
This reminds me. If you follow me on Facebook, you've seen this picture. It's a few months old now, but if you haven't, my Facebook profile picture is currently me with 2 bowling balls in front of my crotch, my son struggling to get 2 bowling balls in front of his crotch to imitate his father, and my daughter hiding her face behind a bowling ball. And I feel like that's my family crest.
Family crest / show logo.
Yes. Right on the broadcasting network, because we got a lot of balls and no dignity. All right. Speaking of no dignity, Alexis Hejna, what do you got going on your side of the pond?
And speaking of Speaking of no dignity, here's
No
the plug Here's the plug portion of the show.
Yes. Speaking of no dignity, plugs.
Yes. Where we show.
Hang on.
You want me to go first while you get yourself sorted?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Yes. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. And guess what? It's our post-Christmas sale.
Yay!
It's like, did you not get that special something you wanted under the tree this year? Well, we may be able to help you out because we're having a 20% off sale. That's at both of our shops, Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. As you can see, we got great deals on all of our awesome merchandise. We actually don't have any Aquaman stuff up right now because a European Warner Brothers office sent a cease and desist letter, and I don't really have the way to fight it because
that's your own fault for fucking with the guy.
No, that's the problem. I checked. It wasn't like the official Warner Brothers. It was Warner Brothers based off of Newfoundland. I'm not kidding.
Okay, hang on. Stop for half a second. Did you say European?
Did I say European?
You did.
Oh, you're right. I did. Sorry. Yeah, wrong.
Newfoundland's in Canada.
Sorry. Oh, great. Yeah, sorry. You're right. I did. Freudian slip. Sorry.
We know the Canadians want to be Europeans, but
for God's, I'm not insulting. I have good friends who are Canadians.
I have good friends who are Canadian too, and I'll insult the fuck out of them.
Hang on. Both of my exes are Canadian. I can say that with impunity because I believe it to be true.
All right, but either way, yes, we had to remove all of the DC stuff from our site, but we still got a lot of great stuff on here. Again, everything is 20% off. That's Etsy, which you got in front of you, or our Handmade at Amazon store. As always, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I still refuse to call it X, and TikTok. Fun fact on TikTok, one of our most recent videos, we have my 18-month-old nephew going through the official Pokemon challenge.
Cool.
We open up a box with a Charmander, a Bulbasaur, and a Squirtle, and we let him pick out which one he wanted. It's like, this kid has no idea what Pokemon is, has no idea about type effectiveness. It is just pure emotion. What Pokemon does he choose?
That's funny. I get known as Squirtle at the swinger party house when I go.
Because you wear sunglasses.
Thank you, Robert. No, seriously though, the minute I found out my sister was pregnant, I actually said, we're doing the Pokemon challenge when he's able to, right? So this was something I had been wanting to do since he was just a little fetus. So yes, we have that. Of course, we are not starting the con circuit until the spring because I don't like traveling in winter weather. But we are looking at the spring show starting up in March. We're excited about Planet Comic-Con. I actually just got a message from our good friend Jason Teasley. He wants me to find I can't stand in line to get autographs because I got to man my table the whole time. But he wants me to find someone to stand in line for him because he wants me to get a Scream mask autographed by Skeet Ulrich. The entire original cast, well, not the entire, but the main cast.
I'm pretty sure you can find Skeet Ulrich under an underpass somewhere and make that happen.
Nev Campbell, Skeet Ulrich, Jamie Kennedy, and Matthew Lillard will all be coming to Planet Comic-Con. We're going to be breaking out a ton of horror stuff. Looking forward to it. So, but yes, the 20% off sale goes until the 1st of the new year. So go ahead and come check our stuff out. That's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
Alexis gives a whole new meaning to the phrase. I'm gonna go skeet shooting this weekend.
Alexis, when are you?
Family Guy did that joke.
I'm aware.
When are you back doing stuff again? Because I actually don't see you in the month of January at all.
Well, you got me from migration.
No, your own shit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was your show that you just occasionally let me run.
Children, let's behave like adults.
No. Hey, Alexis, when are you hosting your own fucking show?
Admittedly, it's probably not going to be until the first week of February. This time of year, there's not a lot of shows that are wrapping up their seasons. We are going to be looking at Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I feel terrible. I had been told they were dropping all their episodes at once, so I was like, oh.
They don't do that.
Well, somebody led me to believe they were going to.
I don't know what this is, but
I don't know either.
You got to click on it.
I can't. It's a text comment.
You got to copy it out of the comments section. You can do. Well, can you do that? I don't know.
Let's keep going.
This.
Okay, so yeah, I had originally scheduled Percy Jackson and the Olympians for the first week of January, and then I found out whoever told me was an idiot, and the first season is wrapping up the end of January, so first week of February. Hopefully, a bunch of us will be coming on to talk Percy Jackson, the Olympians. We also are going to be looking at Has Been Hotel, which is coming out in a few weeks. But again, I don't know if they're doing episode to episode, if they're doing a dump of the whole thing at once. Looking
Depends
at
which platform is that on?
Prime.
Prime, I think, is more week to week. They might do like 2 or 3 at the beginning.
It is a crapshoot. Sometimes it's a dump.
Prime is very much up in the air. Some of them you can figure. Again, Disney almost never does streaming, does binging stuff. Netflix only does binging stuff. So sometimes you can guess, sometimes you can't.
No, I'm taking a look at upcoming shows for 2024, which ones we want to review, which ones we're going to look at. But admittedly, January is kind of a slow month for me, which is fine. It's usually the month I get my bookkeeping done anyway from my company, so I enjoy having a little extra time off.
Okay,
but
so your brother made a gift of me looking side to side after I made a snarky comment about my ex.
He's calling it Mark Sus.
Nice.
You're familiar with the internet lingo. That tracks.
Either way, Mark, I will get with you after the new year when we all have time to breathe. And you and I can go over schedules of upcoming shows that, again, I don't know of when a lot of shows are dropping. I think the only other show we discussed the schedule on was Fallout, which you've handed off to Ronnie because he is such a huge mega fan of the game. So he's going to be hosting that.
Doesn't Echo start in January?
I don't think, again, I have no idea. I need to go through and do the list. We'll get those who actually do watch my show, we'll get back to you with the schedule soon.
For everyone who is not familiar with the phrase, Mark, what is January?
Fuck you, it's January.
There we go.
I thought it was when entertainment goes to die.
Nope, it's fuck you, it's January. Anywho, this week, yesterday was Christmas Day, so there was no show. But prior to that, Christmas Eve, my pride and joy, your future overlord, Jonas Radulich, and I watched the cutest Christmas movie. Oh, Lordy. So you see, Santa's allergic to kitty cats. And the boy left a box of cats on the bar and with the milk and the cookies and the letter that says, "Please, Santa, convince my mother to let me keep my kitty cats." And Santa opened the box, and the cats jumped out, and he had an allergic reaction and fell down and bumped his head. And wouldn't you know it, there was no Santa to deliver the presents. So the cats had to do it, Robert Winfree. The cats had to deliver the presents. They had to operate Santa's sleigh, don't you understand? With the little kitty paws. They had to operate the Santa OnStar system to get the sleigh in the air and deliver their presents, and it was the cutest thing. Anyway, friend of the show, Glenn Miller. Sorry, I bumped the wrong way. Friend of the show, Glenn Miller, directed that. And we know this because we had him on after we reviewed Zombies. And then we interviewed him, and I was going through his IMDb, and I saw Santa Claus. I was like, your premise of this movie is like cats deliver presents for Santa. This is amazing. So
I bet you and Jason can interview him again.
Yeah. Drugs will be involved. Anyway, my son and I did the whole point of that rant was that my son and I on Christmas Eve did an alternative commentary for Santa Claus, and there was much festiveness. This week, this will be the third attempt at this. Myself and what's his name, Pat Mullen, we'll be doing the Barrera versus Morales trilogy on the history of boxing. And so help me God, if we don't get it this time, I'm not doing it at all. Saturday, we're re-airing our tribute to Carrie Fisher. As we all know, she passed away around this time several years ago. In fact, the anniversary of her death is December 30th, 2016. So on the anniversary of said death, we will be re-airing our tribute to that show. We had a bunch of us come on. We used to do these in the past. We had a bunch of us come on, talk Carrie Fisher, talk what she meant to us, talk about Princess Leia. And I had just read at the time Wishful Drinking, and I'd seen the stage show of it. And I was absolutely enamored of Carrie Fisher. I don't talk a lot about my profession because this is my hobby and my profession is my profession. I try not to mix the two. Unless the subject permits me so. But I was always interested in Carrie Fisher because of all of her mental health struggles and her perseverance through that and struggles with alcoholism and whatnot. So there was a lot of discussion around the highs and lows, no pun intended, of Carrie Fisher's career as not just an actress, but an author and a producer, stage performer, just a great all-around person who had some unfortunate struggles in her life. So we'll re-air that Saturday for your listening pleasure. New Year's Eve, it's back to Metal Hammer of Doom Sundays. We'll be re-airing our Avantasia Ghostlights review from 2016, I believe it was. And then next week, we got Migration on Monday. Zach Strobel will be with us. It'll be a joy. He'll sing a song. We'll do a bit. It'll be fine. Tuesday, Tuesday, we'll finally be getting around to the entire season 4, I think it is, of Doom Patrol. That'll be me and Jesse. And then a double whammy of TV parties for me. Myself and the two Canadians, Andrew Graham and David Wright, and I will be talking the final season of The Crown, season 6.
I don't know why you engage in British propaganda like that, but okay.
Unless I have a hot date, January 6th, I will be doing another YouTube exclusive of Virgil Ortiz versus Frederick Lawson on DAZN, which Robert Winfree reminds us rhymes with calzone. And here is that Robert Winfree to tell you about his calzones.
I don't know why I do this sometimes.
Because you love me.
Not if you do that again. All right. We're in a bit of the downtime for mostly the world of combat sports and professional wrestling. It's the end of the year, and wrestlers are human beings, so they like to be with their families, and it's just kind of a logistical nightmare. So the UFC has been off for the last couple of weeks. Their last event was UFC 296. Their next event will be the 13th of January. So I get the first Saturday of 2024 off, and then back to that grind. This week, MLW, curse them, decided in their infinite wisdom that, it would be a great day to have to release a 2-hour special. Christmas Eve. That'll just be a grand old time.
And they roped you into covering it?
MLW is kind enough to provide various outlets with screeners of their events
Gotcha.
because they're all
Okay.
taped before. So
So you
I
got
did
it
not-
beforehand.
I did,
Okay.
and I can provide you with insider betting if you're interested, Mark. They are sponsored by Bet Online, though, so I don't know if that'll play nicely with you. But so I wrote that up. I don't think they have anything this week. They used up all of their taped material for now, so they're waiting until January, I think 6th is their next event, and they'll do some television taping before the pay-per-view is kind of how that works. So I think I have them off. Whatever SmackDown is doing on Friday, they're probably doing a best of because they're not having a live event this Friday, I believe. That's going to be next week when they cap off the first week of 2024 in WWE Land with New Year's Revolution. So, because you have day one on Monday for Monday Night Raw, and then you have whatever they're calling NXT that week, and then SmackDown's having a slightly branded version of their event. So I'll be covering that, but that's I think there's just some clip show this week that I'll have to cover.
All right, real quick. Damn You Hollywood in the month of January, we have Rebel Moon Part 1, which will be January 8th. That'll also double as our end of the year special. We'll talk about the studios and the money and the lack thereof. Martin Luther King Day, we'll be doing The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. And that's going to be it. The rest of the month, we're filling up with TV parties and triple features and whatnot. So that is all for the month of January and February. We have a special Tuesday edition of Damn You Hollywood because I'll be at Pantera the night before, and if I don't die, I'm planning on dying, but if I happen to live through it,
You'll die. You'll only die from the communicable disease you get there several months later.
I'm hoping to be mocked to death. That's what I want to be, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, where I get hit so hard I just evaporate and my clothing falls neatly into a pile.
Isn't that every Pantera fan's death wish?
Maybe. I don't talk to a lot of people. But
You're better not to, for being honest.
But yes, if I manage to live through Pantera at the Amelie here in Tampa, I will be back for Argyle Tuesday night, February 6th. And then Robert and I are going to be doing some catch up. The Iron Claw, which we know is out now, and Ferrari, which I think is also out shortly, if not now. We're waiting for them to go PVOD, and we'll talk about them on a double shot of Damn You Hollywood.
You know my favorite thing about the Iron Claw discourse.
Yeah.
All the people coming out of it going, so I was curious and I looked it up and oh God, it's so much worse.
And then much to Robert Winfree's chagrin, we will be doing Madam Web on the 19th. And then
hey, any major studio out there, any of you, I will say nothing but good things about your movie if you decide now to release it opposite Madam Web, and I can talk Mark into reviewing that instead of Madam Web.
Instead of Madam Web?
Anything that fits our criteria for Damn You Hollywood.
You do realize how many sequels are coming out next year. You may have just damned yourself.
I do not care. I will watch the number of things I would rather watch than that CW made for TV crap is really long.
My son and my daughter nearly got into a fucking fist fight over Madam Web because my daughter was my daughter about it, and my son was you with the combat sports training about it, and I literally had to like step between them and be like, "All right, girls, you're both pretty," but yeah, my literal conversation about Madam Web. Oh, that looks fun and interesting. Lots of girls doing superhero stuff. I like it. My son goes, "It sucks." And she goes yet again. She's like, "Why can't you ever just let me like have an opinion and like stuff?" He's like, "You shouldn't like things that suck." Like, ugh.
Look, okay. For
Okay,
everyone out
Robert,
there
would you review Kung Fu Panda 4 instead?
of
I
Madam
won't.
Web,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Okay, I'm going through, and there's actually some good ones here. Joker Folie à Deux.
Yes.
Oh, you're not talking about stuff the same day. Then you're talking if they move it up.
Exactly. I found somebody posted a GIF earlier of all of the sequels coming out, and I forgot to save it, so I pulled up a website here. It's like, okay, Sonic the Hedgehog 3,
Yes.
Venom 3.
This game
Yes.
is funnier if you pick shitty movies.
I'm skipping the bad ones. The Karate Kid
don't
remake.
skip-
No.
don't skip 'em.
Start
Throw 'em all out there.
Start this again. Start it from the top. Hey, Robert, here are some sequels that are coming out next year. Would you rather do these instead of Madame Web? Only pick the shitty ones.
Okay. Well, that's the problem is I'm going through here and it's like, well, I obviously am skipping Dune 2 and Deadpool 3 and Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Beyond the Spider-Verse is not coming out on that date. They're pushing it back.
No.
I'd
Okay,
bet
let's
money
see
on
here.
it.
That's why I guess Sonic the Hedgehog 3 or Venom 3.
I
or
would rather
my
watch.
God.
I would rather watch Venom 3.
Okay, let's see what else we have here.
Lion King, Rise of Mustafa, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yes.
Oh my god, that hurts me.
Despicable Me 4,
Yes.
Again, only the shitty ones.
Beetlejuice 2,
Yes.
Bad Boys 4,
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh! Ow! Robert!
Godzilla vs. Kong with pink feminist Godzilla.
That's
I
already
need to
on
see.
this-
Hang on. I need to see the run times on both of them before I can make that call. Probably yes, Godzilla.
Gladiator 2,
Yes.
Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2.
I want to say yes for the bit, but you may have found the one.
All right, and we're done now. Folks, thank you for spending your year. You're
I
done,
would
Alexis.
rather
Put
watch
it away.
Mark's home movies than Madam Web.
Okay. Folks, it has been a hell of a year. We've had some laughs, we've had some cries, we've definitely had some hurls. But I want to thank Dorian Price, who's been on the show a bunch of times, Zach Strobel, he's a good boy. He's been on the show a bunch. Obviously, Alexis Hejna, who, despite the constant abuse she suffers under me, comes back for more. So this is her fault, not mine.
It's a cult. You can't escape it. Just
You can't get out of the black hole's gravitational pull. Not
You
even
can't.
light gets out of here.
I want to thank Pat, who was on a couple of shows this year. Obviously, thank you, Robert. Robert doesn't have to be here. He chooses to be here despite his complaining.
That guy. Get rid of that guy.
Oh yeah, you're not the first person to tell me that. But I keep you and I name you George. But no, I just want to say that, again, thank you, Alexis, for spending your Mondays and Tuesdays with us this year. Obviously, Robert, this is like the highlight of my week, especially lately. So I want to thank you all over the course of the year. The people who I've been interacting with in my personal life have checked out the show. Some of which actually continue to listen to more than one. One person in particular listens to them all now and is a huge fan of Robert's, whether he chooses to accept that or not. So just for anyone who, for the Andrew Grahams of the world and everyone else who gets back to me and gives me feedback about the show, there are a zillion of these podcasts out there, yet you choose to listen to ours for some strange reason. So we love you, we appreciate you, and we'll keep doing this until I find something better to do. I'm sorry, and thank you to Robert's brother, who has been interacting with the show lately in the comments. Hot dog.
One of my other brothers is threatening to jump in there and start harassing you on different episodes. Yes, it's you. You know the other one's handle, and when he shows up, it'll be funny. He's gonna start. I'm pretty sure I have 3 younger brothers. I'm pretty sure my youngest one is about ready to start dive bombing your Metal Hammer of Dooms because he's a giant metalhead too.
They don't live stream, so because I can't live stream them. Robert, anything before we go?
In a lot of ways, this year sucked. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Some of it personal, some of it professional. The ability to associate here with my friends and to have discussions with them that go beyond the tepid surface level, hi, how you doing stuff that comprises the vast majority of human interaction these days, not just for me, but for all of us, it seems, has been a genuine port in the storm of loss and just the drudgery of existence. And let's face it, everybody, we all know next year's not going to be great. I don't just mean for the stuff we talk about on this show. I mean,
it's a presidential election.
Election
Those years
year.
are always hell.
Yeah. And that's going to be a thing. And Mark's going to want to do a live election coverage again. And I'm down. assuming we're not being stormed and held hostage, and that's
I
not.
was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you try to get me on that, I will be wrapped up in rope with a gun against my head.
I'll tell you this. If you're insinuating that next year the purge is going to be made legal, I'm rooting that on. But for very personal reasons.
I was gonna say, like, that's just a fancy way of saying I'm premeditating murder, and I'm not sure you should do that for legal purposes.
We have a
this
disclaimer on the show. We have our
This is-
disclaimer.
is
but-
satire.
Except I already said that satire's dead. It's just a confession at this point.
Wrap it up, Robert. 10 words or less.
So, long and the short of this is to everyone who I've done these shows with, thank you. To each and every one of you. I appreciate it. To everyone who's out there listening, bless you. Thank you. Time is our only truly finite resource, and you choose to give some of it to us or have us complement that. Thank you for that. We try our best here, and we appreciate all of you. New Year's coming. I am 99% sure we're all going to get through it together. But on the off chance I'm wrong, at least we'll have had some laughs along the way. So thank you all. We look forward to a lot more of this in the future. And God bless. Stay safe out there.
All right, Alexis, write this down. This is the order it goes in. Ready? Ready?
I still have the order saved from the last show.
Be well, be safe, and behave.